Okay, Larry, it's time for the theme
Hi, everybody. Are you ready for the commentary? This is Tim Hodge. I directed the show along with.
I'm David Pitts. I produce the show.
Along with, I'm Mike Naraki, co-wrote the show.
And provided a major voice.
Yes.
Yeah. That's important, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I think he pops his head out here any minute. Oh, Larry the cucumber.
Okay, but they better not laugh.
All right, better get on out there.
There he goes. There's our little Larry guy.
You know, it's hard to comment on this on every show.
Yeah, we have the opening credits, and they're kind of the same.
Maybe we should have had LarryBoy blowing the tuba.
I'll have him in his LarryBoy costume. That would be funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is the first LarryBoy we've done in quite a while. The last one was, what, like 10 years ago?
Something like that. What was it? 1999?
Yeah.
LarryBoy and the Rumor Weed?
Yeah, it was right before I started working at Big Idea.
Yeah. I actually remember the premiere for that show.
I was there because it was
That's
down
right.
in Orlando.
That's
Yeah.
right. We went on a Disney raid. We went down to Orlando and we were showing it. I think CBA was in Orlando that year, and we were premiering it there. And we had gotten together with you and a couple other pals from
Yeah,
Disney.
several of whom started working at Big Idea shortly after that.
Yeah, but that was a really fun premiere. It was the show turned out great. LarryBoy,
And-
just in general, is just
Yeah, and
fun.
then Larry Boy got kind of neglected over the last.
he got
several
shoved
years.
into the second dimension,
Right.
and kind of faltered there. And we decided to bring him back out into his full 3 dimensions.
Beautiful 3D.
Yep.
Yeah, we tried the whole cartoon series, and it wasn't exactly what we wanted. After a while, it was a nice experiment, but it was a short-lived one.
Yeah.
So it was really a lot of fun to actually dig it out and bring it back because I'd wanted to see him back on the screen for some time. We had to push pretty hard to get it done.
Yeah, but we're all big. I mean, everybody who works in the studio are big superhero fans, and we've all wanted to do another superhero movie. So what other perfect person besides Larry Boy?
That's right.
We've got everything under control.
And if you remember from the end of Sherlock, we mentioned that Bob was not going to be in this show. It was a little joke. So
Yeah.
this is the kind of the second part of that joke, Bob getting pushed off the show,
Yeah.
since he doesn't really appear in Larry Boy episodes historically.
Don't want innocent bystanders getting
Okay, so this is going to be the first time I've watched this with finished animation all the way through. So
That's
Right.
right.
forgive me.
That's right.
He actually, we had a lot of people think that was kind of rude when we
Oh, they
first
got pushed
showed that
off,
in
yeah.
the reels,
Oh
but-
yeah, yeah.
But I always thought it was just.
I think a lot of it had to do with the timing too, because I made
Yeah.
sure the animators made it where he got pushed off. It was a gentle shove. It wasn't.
In Larry's idea, he's protecting Bob, innocent
Yeah.
bystander, and
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff.
That's
so
right, that's
doesn't want him to get hurt.
He's sort of holding him out at gentle arm's length.
Right.
I like Archie's concerned look at the audience there.
can't help picking it up and playing. What should I
And some of you more astute observers will recognize the cell phone that we pulled out of the prop closet.
Oh, is that from Minnesota
That's
Cuke?
from Minnesota Cuke, yeah.
That's his PDA.
Yeah, but this time it's just a cell phone.
Yeah. Okay. With really long text messaging screen. Right. It scrolls and scrolls and scrolls.
Or the act of influencing by exciting hope.
Now, I've always loved the plunger ears. Where did that come about when you first started thinking about Larry Boy?
That was a Phil invention, and he just did it with just a silly, goofy look with plunger.
Pulled it out of his
yeah.
brain somewhere. Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, there's not much funnier than a toilet plunger.
I was watching a part of Goonies the other day, and I saw one of the little kids had a little. During the intro of the movie, he has a little suction cup that he shoots.
Oh yeah.
And sticks onto something,
That's
and then
right.
pulls them. So,
Oh.
kind of, but it's not a toilet plunger. It's just a
No.
little suction cup.
This is cool. This promo, this whole introductory bit you recognize was from the trailer. We produced this part of it actually a year ago,
Right.
before we even had a finished script for the rest of the show, because we didn't
It
know
was actually part of our efforts to revive the series.
Yeah,
and
we
we kind of forced it, like by putting a trailer on, we kind of have to make a show.
Yeah,
and-
really.
because
So-
we weren't even quite sure what the rest of the story was going to be at the time.
That's
We had to
right.
make sure whatever we wrote would
Fit
hook
in
up to this.
Right.
Which really helped with the chocolate angle.
Right.
So,
A little boo-boo you may have just noticed too. Her cameraman about 3 or 4 shots ago was Jimmy, and in the show it's Jerry.
Jerry,
it was a
okay.
mistake we made and then realized
They're
it too late.
brothers, they both work at the station.
Yeah.
So she was assigned somebody different.
So the trailer was done, over a full year before, and then we had to come in and match this shot here
Yeah,
to
first
the
one.
previous work, which was done a year earlier.
And by almost a whole new crew too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, with a different renderer, different platform, so there was a lot of technological changes in that
Man.
time. Made it a struggle, but it got there.
Yeah, this whole homing device actually came in late in production. We'll get into that later, but I was telling you that right now, that the little beeper was a late idea in the script. In fact, I think it was even after you had written it, and it was while we were
Yeah, it was
storyboarding and editing, we
small
realized we had a
storyboarding.
gap, a big plot hole later.
Yeah.
We talked over it as we scanned down through that shot, but we saw the first poster for Oomph.
Yes, the important plot element as well.
Sports drink. Well, I don't think we'll be giving anything away to talk about stuff now, just because.
I know, but I want to save something to talk about later, because we're going to get to that part, and
Right.
I'm just going to be sitting
Then we're
silent.
just going to sit there with dumb looks on our face.
Scratching our heads.
That's the setup, Mike. We set it up, and
Now people will pay attention to the rest of the
That's right.
commentary. What's he going to say? Oh, we have the new Bumblebird Park here, with the statue of Obadiah Bumbley in the middle. Oh, the Obadiah Bumbley originally
It's a different character, right?
was a different character. Yeah, he was like this potato thing, and just a whole new character. But about halfway through storyboarding it, we thought it would work out better if he were played by Larry. If he were played by Larry, yeah.
That's right. Wow, look at that reflection in that mirror. That's nice.
yeah.
I like that. I did the little purple powder puff
Yeah.
effects too.
Mayor Blueberry, do you expect this recent vandalism to
We kind of went by it a few minutes ago, but you saw the Larry mobile for the first time in the show, and that was kind of interesting. The size relationship.
Yeah, the
was
Larry
good.
Mo bus.
Yeah, the Larry- it's taller than a building.
Its tires are as big as the other cars in the street.
I was wondering if the cameraman worked at Bennigan's or TGI Fridays after work.
Oh, with
like
the-
his costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just plays rugby. That's all.
Yeah.
You also just saw there the chainsaw, which was
There he is.
its
Yes.
first appearance.
And now last,
And
because
now last.
he had originally played a larger part in the show, but safety concerns and good judgment caused us to cut it. It was,
Yeah.
we had some unsafe activities going on that were really, really funny, but then we thought better of it.
Yeah, you got to be careful what you do with the chainsaw.
Yeah, especially for entertainment for elementary school age kids.
Well, here's the first appearance of Bad Apple.
Yes, her entrance. This was our new character, along with her sidekick, a worm. Because what else could go better?
Oh, that's
Bad
pretty.
Apple.
Is that a Chuck painting right there?
Chuck painted
Yeah.
that, and
that one?
Yeah. You know, wait, I'm not sure about that. Joe may have
That might have
painted.
been that.
That
looked
may have
like
been
it
a
could have
Joe.
been a Spatterford.
Yeah, Joe, I know, designed the Larry Mansion.
So tell us about Top Banana.
Top Banana we needed a show for Archie to watch, some British comedy, and I think wasn't it a writer, Richard Lehman Smith?
Yeah,
that came
yeah.
up with that?
Richard came up with that gag.
Yeah,
that
a
was
banana that slips on its own peel. That's his shtick.
Great. Yep. That's gold right there. That's comedy gold.
And
And it does seem quite British.
And I have a certain affinity for Top Banana too. The TV that he's watching there is patterned after one I had as a child.
Oh, cool.
I grew up watching Captain Kangaroo on it. And
You also did an experiment trying to animate.
yes,
the
I
Top
animated
Banana.
Top Banana, as you see there in traditional animation. I first started trying to do it in clay, thinking that would be a neat.
Well, how did that work? How did that
It
work
didn't
out?
work at all. I did clay animation when I was a kid, a lot, in 8mm, and clay animation's a lot harder than I remembered it.
Yeah, are you ever going to show that to us?
No, I have destroyed every file I kept of my attempts at clay animation. It was really bad. And at first, one of my early ideas was to do it in cutout animation because I thought British comedy was, there's a lot of, especially the Terry
Right.
Gilliam cutout animation would have been fun. But we thought, no, let's do it clay. Clay is great.
Right.
No, clay is hard.
These here in this in the Bad Apple's lair, these shots were always difficult with these shots within a shot. You see multiple levels of animation going on. We'll have stuff on the screen, and then and then the curly and bad apple. So anytime we have those kind of shots, there are multiple composited
Yes.
shots.
It's like doing 3 times as much work if there were 3 TV screens running.
That's why you had that freeze frame for a while.
Yeah.
Yep, you got it.
Freeze frames are cheap.
Freeze frames help out.
You see the little canister in the background too of compressed nitrogen or whatever that comes in later. That's
Right.
little plants. That she has some technological advancements in this old grist mill.
She was a difficult character in terms of modeling and lighting. She presented several challenges. She turned out well, but
Yeah.
she's a difficult character to just by her shape and everything to make look right.
And in casting her voice, we searched hard and far and wide. Or we
Far and wide.
far and wide. In fact,
We
we had
stretched across the continent.
we had recorded a whole different actress, and we were very. She did a great job, but some of our preview screenings, we weren't getting the reaction we wanted from her. So
Here's your tracking device.
yes, this is the plant later. This because we had this scene where Curly came in and just walked up to the Larry cave and snuck into it. Like, wait a minute, where did this come from? How did he know where the Larry cave was? So we realized we needed the plant.
And speaking of the Larry Cave, isn't this a new design on the Larry Cave?
Yes, we redesigned the Larry cave, and a lot more plunger motifs going on in there. And we just went by there's a little Hall of Fame over there. You can see it. We'll pass by it again, where he keeps the glasses from the rumor weed
Okay.
and the Art Bugatti plate.
And now, where did the little webcam come from?
Yes, his little webcam was a reuse. That we pulled that out from the How to Draw video. Remember when Larry was on the countertop
Right,
with
right.
the video link up?
Maybe you're right, Alfred. What do we do?
Well, we'll design a program to get
I like that reactor or power supply or whatever in the back, that rotating red beacon.
I like this little TV. It looks like a TV.
That's my TV.
Might have watched Captain Kangaroo on.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, there's see Baby Moses over there on the side.
I remember when Mike was working on developing this song. This was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Like the big band
He
sound.
was wanting the big band number.
We redesigned City Hall from. Did we have a City Hall design from the old Bumbleberg? I don't remember.
Yeah, we did. In the police station. I believe so. Nice.
You like that little?
Yeah,
okay,
nice
little
bite out of the pear there.
this for all you people at home. In a second, right about. I want you to freeze frame right now. Freeze frame it. Okay, and you can read the letter. It's pretty funny.
Actually read it. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Oh, a second appearance from a bottle of umph.
Oomph.
I love this shot.
Oh yeah.
I laughed at it from the very first moment I saw it. Like Brian Roberts did an early design on this
on the
Stairmaster thing, yeah,
walker
because
thingy.
we usually just do drawings of props to send it to to Canada to be modeled, but Brian actually built it and made sure it worked before we
Oh, that's
sent it
great.
up there. Yeah,
I'm very busy right now.
Sort of a cross-country
I love
ski.
Jean-Claude just still struggling up there in the background too.
And coming up, you'll see the web effect for the first time. You want to tell us anything about that, Tim? What you?
It was hard.
Well,
And I'm
yes, it
speaking for
was.
the people who actually worked on it, because we knew it was, effects shots are always expensive because they're time consuming and they require research and development. So in trying to cut expenses where we can, we try to do as much off screen and cut back to stuff already finished. And it proved very difficult to get the idea across what was going on.
Well, and they're kind of like the shots that we were talking about in the lair. They're shots within shots because there's action.
Oh,
You got
yeah.
Twice the animation because there's animation going on in both shots.
Right. Where the little holographic effect happens in there, that's a whole different set. So you have 2 sets within one.
If you put it that way.
And
Now
then
that's a painting, though, right?
Right now,
well,
it's
the
a painting.
the wall back there is a painting, but the stairway is an actual 3D set coming out of it.
Oh, okay.
And
That's cool. I love the little.
So now,
Particles
now,
yeah, you
See,
like
we're
that?
animation
Kinda like
within
Stargate
animation.
or Time
Yeah,
Tunnel or something.
yeah.
I love the color. Is that crimson?
It's more of a scarlet.
You've got it! You've got it! 4 more!
More urban animation.
Oh, I love seeing that 2D and 3D happening together there.
Yeah.
That's great.
Isn't that
It's
fun?
really fun.
Oh, the monitors. Way in the background, the monitors that are playing up there. Joe Spadaford came up with a lot of little fun elements to
Elements
show
to go
that.
in there,
You never
yeah.
see them on the show, but there's a lot. He put most of our caricatures back there and wanted posters. And
That gag's always funny.
I'm starting to feel better. Alfred?
LarryBoy is kind of clueless.
Knock, knock. Just a friendly little apple.
yeah,
Now her legs. Then you
Are-
don't see her. That
you don't see them.
then.
They're hidden by the cape. I didn't want to show her legs.
Yeah.
That whole reveal comes later. So we just kept the shadows underneath there, and somewhere underneath there, her mechanical legs are walking. That's the idea, anyway.
Yeah.
I hope that came across. Again, with the expensive things. Because if you had the legs actually spread out and reacting to the cloth, it would have been a little more difficult than we had time to deal with.
Well, here's this van.
I love the shape of this van. It's so retro.
Right. And I love that the size of it is so odd because later they get inside of it and there's a whole bunch of them inside.
Yeah, it's like a gymnasium inside.
Right. It's really not quite big enough for all of them to get in.
It's like the size of one of those little VW bugs, and then
Sorry, but I'm on a
on the
deadline.
outside.
Huge
Yeah.
baking story,
But when you're
try
inside,
Bless your heart, you
there's lots of room.
busy one. Don't you ever relax?
Well, yeah.
I want one of those video games too. That looks like fun.
I told you.
Not that I'm any good at video games, but
Only
Now is this the
version
like when we get into the
Handy
real
Pod
video game here,
Sandy
like the
Pod Advanced.
putting on the helmet and
that
jumping
comes in.
on
Yeah,
the-
it comes in a moment. Yeah.
Comes up, yeah.
I need to find out what's going on with the statue and who's
Well, this is something
responsible.
too. When the Apple's tempting people, we
Laser cycle
went back and forth with this story-wise. We didn't want her to tempt people with behavior that was bad, because that'd be giving kids ideas of things to do. So we thought, well, let's just go the overindulgence route, because that's tempting to play video games too much or eat chocolate too much, or
Right.
Is advanced.
ooh, video games.
Walk right in.
Oh, but you can. Go ahead. Walk right
It's really hard to do commentary on a show that you haven't seen.
I know.
I just want to sit here and watch it.
I know,
Watch.
and she's telling us, "Be quiet over there! I'm trying to listen."
Trying to watch.
See, it's dangerous. And by the way, there's nobody real in those other cars. Those are just little robots in there. Nobody got hurt.
Imaginary.
Oh yeah, and that's Jimmy in his outfit from Sumo the Opera.
Oh yeah, that's right. He just pulled up his model for that.
He's playing another newscaster. See, his camera's upside down too, so it's funny.
So tell us about this camera being upside down, too.
Well, when the Apple spun him in the web, it knocked he dropped his camera and it fell upside down, and he's hanging upside down, so he's
So then the camera's
reality's
upside down.
altered.
So the guy's hanging upside down, but he's really not. He's right side
It's
up.
just confusing.
Yeah, yeah.
Now the only four stand.
I get it.
Me and my conquest
Finally.
That's slow, but I catch
Now this
on.
I like her coloring too. The fact we got this nice two-tone effect on her. That was Joe Spadaford,
Somewhere
I think,
between Red Delicious
or
and
was it
Granny
Chuck?
Smith.
Yeah,
She's almost ripe.
Wait, I just said delicious and then she said delicious.
Delicious. She repeats
Jinx.
everything you say.
Wow. Now this is cool, Larry jumping rope. I like
Yeah.
that a lot. That's a
Did
good
he
look.
do that in sumo? I forgot.
I think he did.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause I think this is the same
But that's
rope
a great,
we used.
Yeah, that's a great. It's a really nice animation of him jumping.
Let's see. You can see the. Oh, it comes out. You'll get a better shot
Coming
of
up is one of Tim's favorite gags.
I know.
Right
See,
here.
these are gags you can't put in the script. This totally comes out in the storyboarding. Because you think he's in the car.
Right.
I'm a superhero.
Alfred's going to drive the LarryMobile, right?
No! Wah, he's on a little scooter.
Cool. I love the
See-
shape of his helmet.
Well, it's the only thing that'll fit his head. See, in this whole environment where they are, that's totally made up of paintings. There's no geometry.
3D,
Yeah.
that's great.
Oh, kids, don't hop upstairs with a jump rope. It's terribly dangerous.
That's what happens to
You
you
will
right
fall on your
there.
face.
Someone named LarryBoy might need some assistance.
Well, you
You like that security camera look, don't you?
That's very nice. Very wide angle.
Oh, I see. Well,
We did a lot of video stuff in this show.
just in case.
Yeah.
Video within video and different effects on it. It's,
Yeah.
It's kind of one of my favorite little moments where she's like tempting him with this chocolate.
Oh, yeah,
stuff,
that-
you know. Right here. That is chocolate.
yeah, when she read that line in the booth, we knew that was the
We knew
take.
she was
That
the
was the
one,
take.
yeah.
Yeah, that was the take to use. It was perfect.
You need security clearance.
Oh, well,
Promise not to tell anybody about my secret cave?
cross
Some heavy duty security.
Yeah, this is some real top-notch stuff here.
LarryBoy will be right up.
I thought you'd never ask.
It makes me real curious what his front hallway looks like, too. I hope we get into the rest of the Larry Mansion in the next show.
Why so many scooters? Are
Because,
we got a
They're
scooter
easier to
thing
build
going?
than.
well,
We definitely have a lot of scooters around the office, though.
it's, you know, a couple of us drive scooters. And
Oh, now this I can't wait to see. I want to
oh,
check this
good.
out.
I love the projector, actually.
And this was a set from Minnesota Kids.
Yes, the library there was
Oh, yeah,
a
the
reuse. That was,
It's a
Museum.
reuse.
yeah.
On a ship they called the Cauliflower to settle in
You like this old-fashioned look?
led by the fearless
This is a combination 2D and 3. It's kind of 2.5D.
settlement
There's,
We give thanks.
and you notice the flag there is the same insignia that was on the mayor's letterhead.
Oh, yeah.
but it wasn't
It's a
long
historical document.
that something was
Originally, that flag too. Somebody designed it. I don't remember who. It was like a little American flag, and then we realized 300 years ago we couldn't have American flags.
That's right.
Oh, Brian Roberts did that voice too. He wanted to do it because the guy's last name was Roberts.
When I wrote that in there, I thought of him. Because Catherine was who he was writing to.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
his true love.
It gives me energy. Something the matter, dumpling?
I really would like to taste a Choco Deluxe bar.
Yeah.
It looks yummy.
Where are my manners? Care for a bite?
Well, maybe someday.
No thanks. I've been eating too much of it lately.
Oh, in a second here, you're going to get a good shot of the Wall of Fame here. She's going to walk by. You see the glasses and the plate, the Art Bugatti plate, and there's a key to the city,
Oh, yeah.
Thousands of years ago.
which doesn't come from any of our previous shows. We needed a third object.
Made from the
Now, see here we see the first reveal of the legs. You got a glimpse of them there in the TV trailer, but this is the full
What if there was a museum of
expose of aluminum legs. Actually, they're
Oh,
galvanized.
that's a cool look.
Yeah, she
You like
has
that?
a
Yeah,
spinner
it's very
web
nice.
around his.
Oh, I think she's going to leave scratches in the Larry Mobile. Every
I
time I
think
see
so.
that, it's like,
I'm
she's
sure she
keying
did.
the paint.
Little dents.
about fitness is important.
It's a great sound effect there, too.
Oh, that's cool.
And then the hologram starts.
Museum. That'd be so educational.
Yummy, eh?
all work in the young settlement of Bumblyburg had come to a halt. The little town was about to fall into the hands of a super
This is another one. In the original script, we had lots of bad behavior, and the Apley's Funhouse was almost like a casino, and we thought better of that too. It's like we don't want to be the ones to introduce kids to
Right, right.
behaviors that.
kind of
Well,
stuff.
and there was a couple of things. That's one. One, we didn't want to introduce anybody to
That sounds helpful.
certain types of sin, and the other one was we weren't really trying to say, you know, in the story what was sin and what wasn't. We were trying to talk about
Right,
when
it was-
things were tempted away,
Right.
It was a story about temptation, not about
a particular sin.
exactly.
Right.
Oh, I don't think I should. I promised Alfred I would eschew chocolate.
Oh, no. Chew.
I love the animation on her legs. I think that the
Yeah.
animators, after working with limbless characters for so long, really enjoyed one that had 6 legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Always brewing. Never stops until
You like the background effect there?
doing
Oh, that's cool.
fun to go canoeing.
See, he's getting in his sugar crash already there.
All-consuming hair shampooing. All my victims fast subduing. Go ahead. Take the plunge.
Ah! Time to go swimming!
Oh, early on too, there was a Larry sub in that
Oh yeah,
pool,
that's right.
that pool area in the moat, and
who had come over on the call
budget cuts. I mean, just lose a Larry sub.
Yeah.
But we might model it one day for a future adventure. We could have a Larry undersea adventure.
We could.
non-stop fun. It was only only the timely
If we go
arrival
under
of
chocolate,
Obadiah Bumbly.
you know, under chocolate,
It'd be hard to see.
you only see the things inside the cave. I mean,
We could do a whole show like this. I like that.
Isn't it neat? I like it
it's
too.
really nice.
Oh, and this is a new voice too for the Apple's ancestor, Ephraim Apley. That's our
Chris
editor.
Wall?
That's Chris Walls, the voice of
He
Ephraim
did a mighty
Apley.
fine job.
Didn't he now? Oh, and there's that checker game from what was the show? Asparagus La Mancha. Yeah.
Are they set up right?
No.
They're still
We will
wrong.
probably
I love
never
that.
have a checker game set up
I
right.
love this the cheapness of that. It just sounds like
Yeah.
a piece of light plywood falling over.
Probably
That's what I
cardboard.
told the guys when they're working on this. I said it's got to look like a bad junior high school play. Not that junior high school plays are all bad, mind you, but just a poorly produced one.
Ephraim Apley and his lineage would be forced from Bumblyburg, defeated in his plot to rule the little village.
Oh, my. That
See, he
apple.
recognizes him because he almost ran over her on the road. I'm hoping that plot element gets.
Oh yeah. Oh look at that. Look at that web. Watch out.
Oh no, poor Alfred! He's
I
gonna be
love
all.
this, though. I
No.
love how he's so collected right now.
Good thing he was wearing a helmet.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right. If he hadn't been having a helmet, he would be in trouble.
But a helmet without a chin strap.
Right. Well, but he doesn't have a chin.
There. The law does not apply.
You know, it'd be a nose strap.
Let me in, of course.
Well, if he'd known what
I was hoping that was clear too. When he said "you're Apley," the idea was that she is an Apley. She is part of the lineage. It's not that she's supposed to be the same character by any means.
All about you too, Alfred.
If you didn't understand that before, I hope you understand that now, dear listener.
Poor Alfred. You've been working so hard doing all that tedious
I love the way
research in the
he's
library.
such a highbrow person too, and
You
he's
deserve a little
his favorite show is just
Yeah.
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 this
something else.
real bass slapstick. It is, and the only joke is him falling down.
I'm not going to fall for that, right?
Yes, that banana is a comic genius. And of course, only the
Where'd you find that sound effect?
Justin dug that up on a sound effects CD.
That's great.
Some-
Ta-ta, boys. I've got a big surprise for Bumblyburg.
I love it being trapped in paradise, like in a candy world, but you're just trapped.
Our time has come. Soon I'll control this town with that silly superhero and his butler out of the way. We need to move fast.
Yeah,
And now
Curly's
to
walk
watch
came out
the
real well
fun of
too. I
the
like the way they
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
really captured it. I wanted to make sure he wasn't slithering like a snake.
Well, I like that little animation test that you did. You know, kind of showed
Yeah, I
that.
think we're sticking that on the DVD somewhere. So.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Is it gonna be Easter egg or is it gonna be on there?
I don't know.
Figure it out.
Well, that's still being decided. This is.
that no citizen of Bumblyburg will be able to
We were going to show
resist.
your claymation test.
No, I told you those
But I
files
guess-
have been deleted.
Guess we won't be doing that. All right, the town's now
I love
mad.
this.
Yeah.
Thump.
The perfect spot.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out a way for this box to get there. For a while, I was thinking about having her carry it all the way, and it just got really, really complicated. So we just had it delivered.
Yeah.
You can read on the side. It worked.
Wow, she got long legs.
I know, she looks like a granddaddy longleg. doesn't she?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a cool look.
Yeah, it was fun. And an inflatable building. Anchored, of course, with spider webs.
Come on, you don't want to miss out on
Oh, they're very strong Kevlar
Right.
kind of. Actually, we're not sure exactly what they're made out of.
Not exactly.
But we do find out what they're susceptible to.
Right.
It almost looks like newsprint on the web, on
Yeah.
the webbing.
Sort of does.
Oh yeah. Oh look at that, very gauzy.
Does.
Yeah.
Listen, Bumblyburg is in terrible danger.
I like how you play the straw to the opposite side of Larry-Boy.
So you don't have to see it
Yeah.
interacting with the chocolate.
Yeah.
Bumblyburg needs a hero.
Hero.
See, this is another thing too. We knew we needed that line in here somewhere.
Hero.
Certain things the audience has come to expect as standard.
But he's still trapped.
Alfred, I can't get out of this mess by myself. I need your help.
As do I, Master Letty. Throw me a line.
Whenever he said that, throw me a line, I keep expecting Larry Boy to answer with, some joke.
Yeah,
It's
really.
like,
All right.
now here, this is your favorite line, isn't it?
Nice.
No, well, I meant this chemical
Oh, yeah.
explanation. You're like,
Oh,
no,
yeah, we
that's
got into a
impossible.
we got into a
Yeah.
base acid argument over this one. Yeah.
Sorry, Master Larry. I had
We're not all quite the chemist that Mike is. But
Yeah, I'm not all quite the chemist that Mike is.
It seems we need each other's help to
The
get out of
triglyceride
temptation.
compound.
this
Oh.
to me is really.
Oh, still trying to go for the.
Yeah, he's not quite out of the woods yet.
And the duck you may recognize from Princess and Duke in the Pie War. We just chocolate covered the gold.
Thanks for your help, buddy.
And thank you for your
That is chocolate coming out of his ear.
Yes, that was a Brian Roberts gag.
free them or Bumbleberg will be doomed.
This is one of the most dramatic shots in the show because we knew we had to have the Larry plane in here somewhere. But that was one thing doing this show. Usually the Larry Boy, the previous two Larry Boys were more parodies of the Batman films.
Right.
But since that time, the Spider-Man movies have come out. It's like, well, let's pull more of those parodies in.
Right.
So, and of course, Spider-Man doesn't have a vehicle,
Right.
so we had to leave some of his stuff behind to pull out the other jokes. So now we're somewhere between superheroes.
But he can go everywhere with his plunger ears.
Yeah.
Let's just hope no more big superhero movies come out because we can't parody them all.
Our pleasure, Your Honor. Now we need to free Petunia. The city needs to learn the news.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bumblebergers of all ages, the fabulous Apley's Funhouse 2 is open for business.
So what's in Apley's Funhouse 2? We always wondered as well.
Whoever enters
Originally, for a while we were calling it Los Veggies.
Yeah.
But then,
Yeah, we were just getting too deep in our metaphor.
Right.
yeah, so
Yeah, we
you
had
know,
to
we scrapped Los
come out of that
Veggies
one,
name,
yeah.
so it's just
And plus, it just made it the connection to the past a little bit more clear
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Apley's
So
Funhouse.
what is really in there?
White light.
Well, I think the
Everything that
idea
you
is,
want.
well, everything she's creating is all holograms. They're all just illusions. So when you go, I have always thought when you go in, you just see whatever it is you really, really like
Right.
and can't do without. And
Yep.
you get trapped in,
It's a roach motel.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with
I love
playing
that shot
video
right there.
games, but you've let this video game play
You know, if he'd probably catch up to her faster if he went around the other way.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's right.
Let's find out what's going on out
That was a
there.
cool shot.
They made it.
Thanks.
Now watch all these people come out.
I know, it's like a clown car.
all piling out of the little clown car.
Come on, folks, hurry,
And they-
hurry, hurry. It's all happening on the
We still didn't see anybody rescue Jean-Claude. I assume he got helped when they went in to
Yeah.
get the mayor, but we
We
didn't.
wondered about that, whether we.
So
needed to do
if
that or
anybody's
not.
worried about that, Jean-Claude is okay.
That's a great shot.
That yeah, Todd Carter came up with that staging, and it's just so funny
Oh,
to
yeah.
see it.
the charge.
Accomplice to temptation with intent to lead astray, operating a giant Macintosh without a permit,
What? You can't arrest me.
and resisting arrest.
There we go. That's fun.
None of us is
it's a
strong
great-
enough to fight temptation on our own.
Oh,
It's
there's an
apple
icon
picking
shot.
time.
Let's go get him.
Yeah, three of them have to
Do your
join
thing.
forces.
You got it. Larry boy!
Say no more.
Look around here too. You'll see some reuse crowd members from before, from other shows.
Petunia
And
rhubarb.
a lot of these are original, the construction workers and the doctor, things like that. But
And here's one of those animation within an animation shot.
yeah, well, this is funny because they put one of the virtual cameras inside Jimmy's camera, so that is what's seen from.
Right.
It's a trap.
Oh, that's great.
Believe me, I know. Repeat, flee temptation.
What's happening? What are they doing?
All right, Bad Apple. The jig is up.
That's cool.
Got it, man.
Where?
Bad Apple, you are rotten to the core. Go. Hey.
How
Now.
about this? An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
There goes the dog.
Yeah, we modeled that doctor for one shot.
I still can't believe we did
We'll use him again.
Oh, yeah. Always got to have a
Apple
doctor
in
in the house.
hand is worth 3 bushes. No? I I've got one shot to plug that web shooter.
I'm still not sure why he only has one shot, but it sounded good at the time. Oh,
I blew it though.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Yep. It is.
I love these shots where he's bungeeing around in front of the fun house. The animation is just fantastic.
But I am giving it everything I got.
They,
Oh, right.
the whole umph confusion there.
Yeah.
They have their secret weapon. Yeah, originally, back to the whole chainsaw thing.
Right. Got to pick up. There's
They
the setup. Here's
they originally with the idea was they were going to have to saw through these cables with a chainsaw.
Right.
So Alfred, I can't believe we even wrote this. Alfred threw a running chainsaw to Larry
You
Boy.
guys wondered why I wouldn't let you put that in the show.
Oh, I know. It got as far as storyboards. And we went, oh my goodness, we're showing running.
I'm
Kids, don't
I'm
run with chainsaws.
No,
If you're
we are
going
not
to
going to
have a
show a
chainsaw,
running
just keep
chainsaw
it.
being thrown.
Yeah, and then we changed it to just regular saws, thinking that would be much safer. No,
No,
you know,
we're not gonna
throwing
throw
sharp
it.
objects.
Or scissors or anything else. We're not going to.
And so we thought, this whole mythical sports drink worked really, really well.
Citizens are clear of the funhouse.
All right, everyone, square!
That's funny. Defeating the bad guy with a squirting
Sports
flower.
drink. Yeah.
Doing, doing,
There it
doing,
goes.
doing.
So they all break loose. And
And they're sticky because they're wet.
sticky, right.
Oh, so she gets stuck on the
She's
apple.
stuck tied
Yeah.
to the
Oh,
apple.
there's. Look at the crowds there too. You can pause it there if you want. There's a kid there. Yeah, that's Gordon from Junior and the Bully or Bully Trouble. There's little baby Moses again.
So here's our
I think-
Larry Boy
Yeah.
hero
Homage.
moment.
Yeah. Oh, and originally too,
Yeah.
the statue had a pitchfork.
Pitchfork. And Larry stops just inches short of the pitchfork.
Yes, I don't know what we were thinking, but I'm glad we realized our.
I don't think we were. We got our better judgment going now.
Yeah. There's Oscar, the Polish caterer from Larry Sings the Blues.
So, how about that party?
My fellow citizens, we are gathered here today to commemorate this 300th anniversary.
I think,
of
and there was an
the
early
founding
draft of
of
the script too, where the statue of Obadiah Bumbley looked like Mayor Blueberry, so it would have been her ancestor,
Right.
but it was going to be this reveal that it was her. But we realized we already saw him in the flashback, so that idea didn't need to stay in very long.
Now we also have someone else to thank for delivering our town from this terrible evil.
We had to
And
rework
that, of course,
the
is
statue of the
our
mayor a little bit. In one of the
Yeah.
earlier renderings, he actually looked like a big giant chocolate.
Yeah,
Statue.
so he's supposed to be. No, he's bronze.
No,
Bronze.
Bronze,
Mission
not
is too
chocolate.
strong for any one of us to handle alone. We
And
need
the
God's
lesson
help
moment.
and the help of the people
Everyone
around
pause
us,
and listen
our
solemnly.
friends, and our family.
Well put,
I like the
Master.
floppiness
You
that
can
we
always
rigged into
call
his
on me when you
plunger
need
ears
help.
too. Before they
As
used to
a
be a little more
token
stiff,
of
if I
our
remember, and
appreciation,
like the way they flop
it
around.
is my pleasure to present you, in honor of Bumbleberg's 300th birthday, this magnificent 300-pound chocolate birthday cake.
I'll save you a piece. A small one.
All right, everyone. Go see Alfred about some cake.
Oh, and here we go. Temptation is never gone forever.
Yes.
It's always lurking around the corner.
Well, Libby, I hope you liked the show, and I hope you learned something from it. I know I did.
Well,
What are you doing?
I'm a superhero
Oh.
too.
Bob, if
I
you're
like
wearing
his
a costume,
costume.
Oh,
The
yeah.
scotch tape and cardboard lightning
I'm the
bolts.
Red Wonder.
Yep. Little
You're
purple
Bob.
wrap.
Yeah.
I'm leaning toward Red Wonder.
Want to do that purple wrap?
I have a theme song.
But that's not it.
I love the way he's thinking about it
Yeah.
too, like he's never heard it
Yeah,
before.
well, and he's trying to imagine it as his theme song.
Wait, that's not it. Oh, let me.
And then,
It's a nice little groove they're doing.
Isn't
there.
it?
Yeah, Larry's buying it. That's
you
his theme
didn't
song.
think Archie had rhythm, did you?
I had it all worked out. Shall we see if QWERTY has a verse for us today?
Yeah, fast.
We had to redo this a couple of times. as I remember,
Yes,
too.
we got very stylized with this typeface, and it was so decorative it wasn't readable anymore.
2641.
So I, at the last minute, I changed it. I had to do it myself, and I redid the typeface, and we put it back in the show. And this is like down to the wire, and we, watched it on the monitors the next day. And I quoted the verse wrong. I put in flesh instead of body. I was quoting King James instead of this
Yeah,
version.
that happens sometimes.
Yeah. So we're watching that in the approvals, and Larry is reading
Like,
out.
yeah, don't worry, everyone. Oh, it's readable. This is perfect. Everybody was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. It was perfect. And then, yeah, if you use the right words, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, that would make it better.
Oh, whatever.
Great idea, Alfred.
Well, the extent of our scheduled period together has once again brought.
There's a new Larry costume too, by the way. LarryBoy costume. I made it a little more angular. His collar goes up a little more. His belt's at an angle. Kind of streamlined him a little.
And he loves you very much.
Oh, here comes the cool music video.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
can't
this. Yeah, originally we had a silly song in the show,
Right.
in the middle of it, but we postponed it for the next one because when this new theme song came in, we knew immediately we have to do a music video for this.
Right. Well, so we wanted to update and change the theme song, and so we did, and revived it.
And as soon as we heard it, so that's a hair band. So we got to have
Yeah.
some long hair band doing it. And what other vegetable has long hair but corn silks?
But corn silks, exactly.
Yeah. So we designed a band, called it Shucks. Get it? Like corn shucks.
I get it.
Right.
And I just love the whole look of this music video.
There were some pretty difficult things to do in it too. When I first looked at the storyboards, I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah. We're going to spend more money on the silly song than the rest of the show if we weren't careful. Oh, the light wall. That was one thing that was. In fact, we started with a lower version, a simpler version of that, but the animators fell in love with it and gave us a little more than we asked for.
That's great.
My hat's off to them. Oh, and the band members' names, they don't come out anywhere else. The lead singer is Wedge. The bass player there banging his head, that's Stub. And the drummer is Colin.
Colin, excellent. They're a trio, a rock trio.
Yes, I like his flying V. Oh.
Shots like this were the ones that.
Yeah, it was like 9 times the animation. And then modeling all the drums.
Quite a drum set.
We found ways to do impressive shots inexpensively too.
Where there is trouble, I'll be there.
Oh, and
Whenever a helpless
the LarryBoy motto is this from the very first LarryBoy?
Yeah, this is from Dave and the Giant Pickle when he does his first LarryBoy Creed on the countertop.
super suctioneer.
So they invade half the shots in the show.
Yeah. But everybody's getting into it. Even the banana.
Yeah.
Leap
Yeah, I
and
like
boom.
Yeah.
Stage dive, whoops.
That gag all these words.
The world needs a hero. I am that.
I love the guy back there still drumming.
Right. Right to the end.
Oh, you got a nice little cymbal hit at the very
Yeah.
end. You can
Right.
see it coming in.
Whoa, look at those credits.
And then
These
a
are some cool credits, man.
great set of credits by John Troush and
Brian
Brian
Roberts
Roberts.
did the animation.
Yeah.
Did an
That's
incredible
very
job.
Lots of subtleties in here. I love this.
Very
And then the
fun.
whoop. This-
And then, of course, the plunger pulls the credits up.
Yeah. I have a friend, a little kid. In fact, I just had lunch with him today. His name's Kieran, who actually memorizes these credits. He knows everyone and what they do. In fact, he watches these special features before he watches the show.
Really?
He'll watch our show with the commentary before he watches
Wow,
it.
that's cool.
He just loves all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Oh, and that's a nice cookie.
Isn't it? I love reading the credits myself of shows I've worked on, just not because I feel good about myself, but it's kind of like going through a yearbook. Like, oh,
Yeah,
I remember,
exactly.
because a lot of these people work on it up at the front, and then, by the end of the show, you haven't seen them for 2 or 3 months, and then
Right.
we should get them to autograph the credits like you do your yearbook.
Have a great summer.
Friends forever.
It was real. It was fun.
I like the fold marks that John Troush put in on these posters.
Yeah. Is that from
That's
Top
Kurt.
Banana?
No,
No,
it's from the
that's Kurt.
flashback. That's from Appley's Funhouse, the
Oh,
original,
okay,
and Kurt
okay.
singing
yeah,
that.
The audio was kind of low. I didn't hear that.
Kurt's vocals. It made us smile.
And this little piece of music here was from the original trailer we did. He composed from the preview, but it didn't get used in the show.
Oh, okay.
And I've told Kurt that this is one of my favorite bits of music that he's written. Just for me personally, I just happen to really like that piece.
So hopefully everybody is listening to the end of the credits so we get to hear it.
So Lisa and Michael writing that LarryBoy song. Very
Yeah.
nice.
You like the little ripple on the water there?
Oh,
Isn't
look
that
at
nice?
that.
eh?
That's so nice. Well, goodbye,
There
everybody.
it goes. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening.
Okay, guys, what was the first thing we were going to talk about? I can't remember.
We're going to introduce ourselves.
Oh,
Hi,
gosh.
this is Tim Hodge. I directed half of this show.
2/3.
2/3 of the show, and I'm sitting here with...
I'm David Pitts, and I produced the show.
And I'm Brian Roberts, and I directed the remaining third,
And we'll divide up the parts later and tell you who did what.
roughly.
Yeah, and this is the part of the show, of the commentary, that is, where we sit around and wish we could redo this animation.
Well, it is getting a little bit old, but, it's
But we always talk about
it's
it.
classic, and,
They did redo it once, but I think we've talked about that before, haven't we?
we probably will eventually redo it. But I do get asked that every show, and we haven't done it. So.
Bob's hair is different now. That was more like Kermit hair.
It's because we put all our efforts into the rest of the show to make it as good as possible.
But anyway, we decided to do the story of Gideon, as you're about to find out. And our development process is long and arduous, trying to figure out what's the best show to do each time.
Yeah.
But Gideon came up because we wanted to do another Bible story, because we try to keep those interspersed with all of our stories. And
Well, we had a list. We had a list of stories that we were going to work on,
Yeah.
and we just looked through them, and this particular story of Gideon. Well, I know Tim, you may want to say something.
Yes,
But I know it's one of your favorite stories growing up as a kid.
yeah, we had a 33 1/3 RPM record album with about 10 Bible stories on it, and Gideon was one of my favorites on there. And I've always loved this. In fact, when I was in high school, I even started doing a comic book version of Gideon. I never finished it, though. I think I still have the artwork, though.
Well, there's something really. It was one of my favorite stories. It wasn't my favorite necessarily, but it was one of my favorites growing up as well. And there's something really appealing about a story of a guy that kind of sees himself as sort of insignificant, but yet God uses him in doing mighty things.
And I'm Larry the Cucumber.
Welcome to VeggieTales. Today,
This is my directorial debut here.
That's right.
I directed the countertop on this show, as well as the story of George Mueller.
Yeah, this is one of the rare countertops where you can actually read the letter, too. I mean, from the camera. Usually it's just a piece of paper and we never see the other side of it.
Yeah, we started putting textures on the letters usually.
Yeah, and you might wonder, why do we have the pirates in this one? Well, we were developing this show knowing that we were about to do a pirates movie, a feature. And so, it seemed like a good opportunity to reintroduce these guys. They're going to be, this show would be coming out at least a year before the movie was released. So it seemed like a good time to start talking about the movie. And they're just so much fun to have on there anyway.
Yeah, we had to dig their costumes out of mothballs, figuratively speaking, but we did have to dig up the digital database and have to. We remodeled some of them
We remodeled all of them actually
to look exactly like they did in.
Well,
Gemini.
hopefully. I mean, they got like 85% there, but I think they look great. The modelers did a great job recreating the stuff. I think Lunt particularly looks just spot on.
Oh yeah, the look of his tooth gave us a little bit of fits, but it came off really, really nice. I really like Paul's mustache in this. I think it even turned out better than the Jonah version.
Yeah, they rigged that so that the mustaches moved automatically with the mouths, and we hadn't done that in a while, and it was good to get that ability back. It's very nice. Remember the first time we moved Pa's mustache, it was by hand, and it was back on the Ultimate Silly Song Countdown, and the animator had to animate that separately, and some people did it well and some didn't.
My goodness, that's like the old days where we had to draw it.
Right. God forbid. I like this. That's funny.
Yeah, it's funny seeing them. I mean, after all, they're the pirates who don't do anything, so it's funny to see them, trying to do something.
Taking some initiative.
Nice bifocals, huh?
They're
Yeah.
very nice. Nice reflection.
They really turned out nice.
We have talented artists working on our show and technicians.
One of these shows, we're going to have to open up those canisters and see what's inside.
Sugar and flour.
Well, it's awfully old. It's been sitting in there for like 12 or 13 years.
Moths.
You think there might be some bugs if we open it up? Yeah.
That might be
I
unpleasant.
bet it's just a prop, or that's where they keep extra microphones and cables. My cousin does scrapbooking parties.
Are they fun?
I've never been. She's in Canada.
It'd be a long way to go for
I've
a
visited
scrapbooking
her, but
party.
not during a scrapbooking party.
So it was kind of challenging laying out these sections with the camera because there's even one spot where we've got 7 characters on the countertop, which is really unusual.
Yeah, these are usually very, very
It's just
easy
Bob and
shots
Larry.
to compose. Yeah.
And we relit the countertop this time too because we'd been struggling with getting it to look just right. And so this time we said, okay, we're going to get it right this time, and then that's what it's going to look like forever. So hopefully on the next show,
last words.
hopefully on the next show we won't have to relight the countertop again.
I've been wanting to do that for years. So.
Are you happy with how it turned out?
Yeah, looks really nice. You know, it's funny. The animators did talk about that they'd never actually seen the front edge of the countertop, and
Right, because
And
we
they
had it so
actually see
But
wide.
then I told them, but a long time ago, he actually had a sink on the countertop,
Yeah.
and they were astonished.
There was and cabinetry,
cabinetry.
but that's not there anymore.
Yeah.
George Mueller, your other directorial debut.
Debut. Yes, here we go. This is very exciting. This segment came about because you guys had written Gideon, and it, was the length it needed to be, and it ended up not being quite long enough for the whole show. And we needed another segment that supported the theme. And Mike really likes Mike Naraki, that is Larry the Cucumber, one of our writers and directors. Really likes church history and heroes of the faith. We kind of touched on that with Lutfi and his fanciful flannel graph.
Yeah, when we did St. Patrick.
And this could have almost just as easily been a Lutfi's fanciful flannel graph, except we don't do those anymore. So we did
I like the other headlines, by the way. Continue.
Yeah, if you still frame there's some funny things. So Mike went off and wrote this little script that was intended to be very simple and very sweet, and to reinforce the theme of
And true.
trusting God. Well, and it's a true story of
Yeah,
this guy, George Mueller.
Who was lived in, was it 18th century England?
That's
Or
correct.
19th century.
Late 18th century England.
Okay.
And he started orphanages.
He started orphans.
Started orphans. Maybe those
That's
two.
a totally different story, I think. Yeah. One that we couldn't do.
He believed God wanted him to create lots of orphans. So he started these orphanages, and basically never decided that as to prove God's existence in a scientific way, he was going to support these orphanages and support these children by praying for everything that they needed, and never asking for donations. They would accept help when given, but never go out, and fundraise or ask for money when they needed it. And so we've shown just one little example of that, which is documented in his prayer journal that he kept during his life, where he would write down everything he prayed for, and every time it was answered, where he prayed for breakfast, and the next morning a baker and a milkman showed up with breakfast for the kids.
It happened almost exactly as we're presenting it, except
with the exception of the newspaper reporter. We've kind of
and
added
and
Simon.
the characters were real people, not vegetables.
That's not proven.
And they didn't actually sing His Eye is on the Sparrow.
Because that hadn't been written yet.
Right.
But it's a great hymn, so
It is. And it seemed appropriate.
It is appropriate. So we added Simon, or Mike added Simon, the reporter, as kind of a window for the audience into this world. Because it's when you're stepping into a new world or a new situation, if people just go about their normal daily lives, you can't really figure out what's going on unless you have a character in there asking, well, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? What's going on here? So that's why we added this Simon
it
character.
speeds things up quite a bit, too.
Right.
You want to say anything about all these little photos on the wall?
Yeah, the little paintings on the... who did those? Because I know they're all photos of the orphans that live there, right?
Joe Spatterford did those, and they're pretty much just like renders of
really?
they're the concept art that we created, and then just kind of painted with backgrounds in. But then like that landscape back there on the left, that goes back to like Star of Christmas, I think,
Oh,
maybe.
did Joe do that or
Michael Spooner might have done that.
Oh my goodness! Oh, right.
Oh,
up
and
in the
then
corner?
there's a little cameo of like a grandmother character.
Yeah, but that's from Minnesota Cuke. That was
Okay.
in the barbershop. That's the barber's
grandmother or
mom.
Mama
Leone.
Right. So we reuse little textures like that all over the place.
Now, what's the painting above the piano?
That's a still life that I think Joe created new for this. I don't think we've seen that before.
Now, is this
Hopefully
the
it
same
will see
piano
again.
from Going Up? Or is it
No,
not?
it's the same piano from Minnesota Cuke.
Oh, we had a piano in Minnesota
I'm
Cuke?
sorry, Minnesota Cuke from Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, okay.
So right there in that little exchange, we had actually taken out a little bit.
That's right. I forgot. We edited
where we cut it out during the story stage where Simon offered to run an ad in his newspaper telling people that George Mueller's orphanage needed help.
Yeah.
And George Mueller turned him down.
Saying, I'm only going to pray. I'm not going to ask for help.
I'm not going to ask for help. And it's like, well, you're not asking for help. He's offering help. And you're turning down help that he's offering.
Right.
It seemed like I'm going to pray for an answer to my prayer. Hey, I can help. No, I'm going to wait for an answer.
These kids may starve, but I won't accept your help. So we took a line out there and actually moved it here where he offers to go. He offers, maybe I can run out in... Well, that was actually supposed to be said the night before, but we moved that here. And then, because Simon was a character that we were injecting into this.
Yeah, we made him up.
We made him up, and then by having him interact with George Mueller in that way of offering to run an ad and then have George Mueller turn it down, we were kind of making up something about George Mueller that wasn't true. So we decided to make Simon more of an observer and less of an active participant, and it just kind of softened the story, and it ultimately brought out the themes of faith that we were trying to illustrate.
Now the music in here, I love that take, by the way. But the music, this is one of the
never done that before.
This is one of the very few shows we've done that Kurt Heineke did. Well, this episode of it, he did do Gideon, but he did not do the score for.
That milk wasn't supposed to be milk. It was just supposed to be dark or solid white bottles.
Our technicians went over and above and gave us actual liquid in those bottles.
Looks
but
nice,
who was
though.
the composer on this again?
It was John Keltonic, a guy that Kurt discovered.
Yes,
and
because you worked with him. I didn't on this because I was in the other part.
Because as David talked about, we're working on this movie and there's lots of stuff going on, and Kurt just doesn't have time to do everything himself. So we outsourced a little bit of the music to this new composer, and he did a terrific job. A lot of fun working with him.
I still haven't still framed through this to see what else is written in his journal.
Oh, there's a little alien UFO that Pa drew. That actually Paul Dobson, one of the guys in Canada, was like, well, we need something on that other page of the book. And so he sketched it up real fast. And he said, how about this? And it's actually a dolphin in a spaceship. You can still frame that and maybe even zoom in.
Thematic.
Yeah, it was funny. So this is just a real sweet little simple story that illustrates our central theme of trusting God, and I love this set. This turned out great.
Great segment, and Brian, you did a great job.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It
My
was
hat
a lot
is
of
off
fun.
to you.
Oh, that was real nice.
Now there's some extra dialogue coming up in here that we added too, because it turned out that it felt like we were trying to teach that if you could pray for anything, you'll get it.
Right, and using God as a universal vending machine.
Yes, as our genie in the lamp, and like, no, that's not true. So this line about knowing the difference between a need and a want helps tie that up. Like, no, George Mueller had a specific purpose. He had a calling.
Right.
He wasn't just didn't have a wish list.
Right.
So he was blessed by God, but he was blessed by God because he was within his will, not because
that's right.
God wants to give us lots of stuff.
Right. That's a lot. That's important for us to always remember that God's blessing comes as we do what He asks us to do and what He wants us to do. And that's what we were trying to bring out in this.
Per se.
That makes me laugh every single time. I would have laughed then, except David was talking and I was listening to
It would
him.
have been okay if you laughed. You can laugh.
I would, but I didn't even hear it because I was listening to you.
But we would have sounded like we were laughing at you.
And that's just rude.
But you do, frequently. So that's okay.
Now, the silly song here was supposed to actually come out on LarryBoy. We wrote it a long time ago, but then when LarryBoy was in production, we came up with the LarryBoy theme song.
Well, plus it just felt weird to do a regular silly song in the middle of a LarryBoy.
Yeah, right. So when the new LarryBoy theme came up, it was just very natural to bring that in and say goodbye to this one, or postpone it, I should say.
That worked out really well.
Yeah, it did, because it's really nice on this show.
Love that title card. I want that on a shirt.
Me too. Yeah, John Troush did that title card.
Let's work on that.
Well, it ended up being a really great setup because you got the pirates taking over the countertop, and you got Bob kind of pushed to the side. So why not?
Well, it was similar in the last one too, because Bob was also pushed to the side. So that theme. Yeah, it bothered Kurt a little bit that the lyrics were just written on a piece of paper. They weren't actually printed with staff and everything.
Right.
Well, and it bothers me that the piece of paper is square and not 8 by 11 or 8.5 by 11.
It's A4. It's an English piece of
That's
paper.
right.
It's European because they're French.
Where'd the wiggly turtle tubies
The
come
wiggly
from?
turtle tubies came from Mike Naraki's
That's just silly.
crazy, silly brain.
That's me.
It's fun to say wiggly.
Wiggly, wiggly. He gets him hooked into that way. This show must go on. He can't turn it down.
Speaking Bob's language. Okay, the funniest thing in this whole song to me is the drummer P and how he just goes da 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 every once in a while.
Yeah.
That makes me
I still wonder
laugh.
how they're operating those.
It's mechanical.
Yeah.
I know it's like those.
There's a little P
It's like those
running a
billboard
crank.
ads, and when you go in a convenience store, and the NASCAR driver's waving to you, asking you to buy whatever soft drink he's.
It's battery powered. It's totally battery powered.
You painted all those props, didn't you, Tim?
I
All
painted
those-
the turtles. Chuck Vollmer painted the volcano and the palm tree.
The turtles are just hilarious. So funny.
I like her feet dangling.
Yeah.
His-
I think they added that, didn't they?
No, I asked for that.
Well, you're smart. You're a good director.
Thank you. You're a good director too.
Oh, now.
And you're a good producer.
I wasn't asking for that.
You're just
I was
wonderful
just
folks
starting to
around
get sick
here.
to my stomach.
No, I'd actually, I'd suggested to the technicians that when they turn the fan on, that Bob's hair waves, and they said that was too hard. Even though we did it back on Josh and the Big Wall,
Yeah,
Bob's
but that was
hair
a whole
waved.
different software back then.
Well, that's true.
It was in a galaxy far, far away.
But it's funny we could do something 10 years ago that we can't do now.
Well, we probably could. It's just
How much does it
time
cost?
and money.
But we can shred paper now.
But we can shred paper, which I'm like, okay, if we can shred paper.
Well, this is where part of this idea came up from, because we have those little magnetic poetry sets on the refrigerator, and I love just randomizing words.
We had to work at this a lot to get this to work out. That he taped together so fast in the middle of this chorus.
It's a lot of cartoon physics, how they tape
Right.
it together so quickly.
But if you keep it entertaining enough, no one will ever notice.
Well, they won't care because they're laughing so
unless
hard.
you point it out.
Well, but at this point, they've already watched the show, so.
How do you
I hope
know?
there's
Maybe
not.
they watch
I
this
hope there's
first.
nobody out there watching the commentaries first, because that would just ruin
Actually,
the show for
I
you.
have a friend who does.
Right.
An old friend of mine who's like 10 or 11 years old, and when he gets it, he watches all the special features and all the commentaries, and then watches the show. He just enjoys it better that way.
Is that Kieran?
Mm-hmm.
He's a great guy. We love Kieran. Hi, Kieran. Okay,
you
so
just,
Kieran
you just
does
made
it.
his year. I like her little hibiscus flower behind her ear.
We had to work with them on that.
Notice the pattern back there with the cows and bongos? That's from an older T-shirt design that John Trouse did.
He like stole it
Cows and bongos
from himself.
Yeah, he borrowed it.
Oh,
We're a moral company.
Well, here's a set that we really took from the.
It's on our back lot.
You've seen this, and we've seen both the set and we've heard the music before.
Yes, the set was, you probably have already guessed, was from Babysitter in Denial, the Miriam story. And I like the inflatable Ten Commandments.
And the music?
The music was from Bully Trouble.
Bully Trouble.
Well, we needed that marching band sound, and we thought, well, we have that.
And where's the confetti from?
The confetti is from heaven. See how it's just raining down? It looks like they're in a confetti snow globe.
Right. Actually, when we shredded that paper, we just dyed it.
right. We colored each piece by hand.
I like the way the announcers are wearing
Painstakingly.
scarves in the middle of the blazing.
Because it's a joke on the Rose Parade.
Oh, I know that. I know what the joke is.
I was hoping
I
you
helped
did.
think of it. So, that's why I like it.
He likes that
I was
joke.
just pointing that out to the fans.
He was just trying to make it more funny.
Oh, he feels guilty.
Yeah.
No, we were going to reuse some other scooters besides those because we were getting the list of props we were going to need to build. It was getting rather long, and somebody asked, "Well, can we just use a scooter from LarryBoy?" And okay, if we recolor it, we can use that one. And then whoever the modeler was didn't get that message, and they made the new scooter anyway. Oh, recognize that music?
On the tuba?
Uh huh. No, the baritone.
Now,
Yes, Kurt gave me grief because that's not actually a tuba. It is a baritone.
So actually, the show is not named properly. It should be Gideon Baritone Warrior.
La la la,
Which-
I will conquer you.
I don't think that sounds quite the same. It doesn't have the
ring
same
to it, does it?
ring. No, it's not as funny. Tuba is funny. Baritone is
Well, maybe he plays the tuba. We just never actually see it in the show.
that could be.
That is the obvious truth.
You're so logical.
Yes.
Now, why are his brothers so small?
Because they're peas.
Well, touche. Okay, I was trying to set you up, and you just spiked it into my face.
In the
That's okay.
script, they were written to be bigger than he was, but it just seemed. Oh, I love that.
Oh,
voice
he's
effect.
purple. Yeah.
It just
great.
seemed funnier if he kept calling them his big brothers and they were tiny. Plus, it was a reuse from the idea from Little Joe, and
Right.
then the costumes were kind of a reuse from Bully Trouble as well. And, Junior was playing on the team with all the other little peas. We repainted the helmet.
Did we do anything new ever?
Yes, look at this. This is a new Paul model as an angel. And we even redid this during the show because remember originally he had the little stick up to hold the halo in place like it was a prop.
Like you would at a pageant.
And I think it was you who brought up the idea that realized that if he's a real angel he should look like
you me?
you.
Oh yeah. I'm pretty smart.
Yes, he should look like a real angel, not a prop angel.
Right, so we took the stick out. Hey,
Little
who's
cameo,
that?
cameo.
Who's that?
Hope the angel. That was your idea too, wasn't it?
Well, you don't have to give me props for everything.
I'm not.
But thank you.
But just, but that was originally. I think we had a little carrot angel on the front.
Yeah, we had a
and
carrot
then
angel, but then even though it was a carrot, it looked too much like the guy on the actual
on some of those other books.
Other books
Book
that should go unnamed.
Right. So
Yes.
we decided to get far away from that, and I actually
And it was
I
funnier.
painted that little hope.
Well, Hope was end up funnier. And
Yeah.
if you don't know where Hope comes from, it's the
Go buy a
Easter
copy
Carol.
of Easter Carol. I'm sure it's on sale by now.
I think you can only buy it at Easter,
Oh, really?
except on Amazon.
And other online retailers.
Did you just
Right.
say EG?
Oh, EG. Remember
Oh,
that was
good
originally it was
grief.
written. We went round and round. Originally the line was IE, but then we looked it up
IE.
in IE. I don't remember what the Latin words
IE
are.
means-
Doesn't mean for example. It means
In other words.
in other words.
And EG means for
For
example.
example. So we. Oh man, there were a lot of re-recordings and rewritings and.
And we actually argued about it for a while because most people think IE means for example,
Yeah.
and then Chris Wall, our editor, says, "Well, but it doesn't really. So we can't teach kids that something means something that it doesn't." And then I'm like, "But it's funnier." And finally, we just decided to do what's right instead of what's funny.
It is funny.
Now, I love the randomness of this, that Paul just asked out of the blue for a lemonade.
A
A
lemonade,
lemonade
would be fine.
Maybe they don't have lemonade in heaven, and so whenever he comes to Earth, like when we go back
If
to
they
Chicago,
don't have lemonade in heaven,
like when
I'm
I go
not
back
sure
to
I wanna
Chicago, I always try to get a Portillo's dog because we
Right.
don't have those in Nashville.
It's just unusual to when somebody offers you something to drink to say, "Oh, a lemonade would be fine."
It's pretty funny.
Well, it is, and just to give reference to that is based on the biblical story where Gideon does go get a meal to serve his angelic visitor.
Right.
I love that smoke cloud thing. That was awesome.
Yeah, it turned out nice.
Wait, I've been chosen to lead an army? I think there's
Gideon's a wonderful character to me because he believes God, but he just doesn't know for sure that God is really calling him, asking him to do this.
Yeah, and biblically too, he was really unsure that God even wanted to help them all because he said, if God's on our side, how come the Midianites are everywhere?
Right.
And he really had to go through several phases of convincing.
my brothers are bigger and stronger.
No, the little peas.
Tell you the truth.
That's why it's funny.
Put me in the dark and I do too.
I love that line.
Yeah, Mike did a great job.
Sorry.
He
The
usually
variants.
does.
You trusted
He did
on
an
an angel.
exceptionally great job.
Trust
on
that
this.
I was sent from
Oh, here's
God.
my favorite line coming up here in a second.
Me too, me too.
I thought you were coming to
And
give
I'd be
me a
quiet
pep
from
talk.
it, but
Oh, well
we're
done,
supposed to
good
do
and
a
faithful servant. But
a
this is
commentary.
way out of
I'll be
my
quiet for the
league.
line because here it is.
You want to hear the Lord say, well done, and then you'll have to do what he asks.
I think it's one of the
yeah.
greatest
Yeah.
messages we've ever done
I think
on,
so, too.
on one of our shows.
It makes me teary.
He wants you to
You want a
defeat the
tissue?
invading
I'm
Midianites.
all right. I got a shirt.
How many Midianites are we talking
And
about?
that kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier in the George Muta. We were trying to tie in, being blessed by God is being and doing what he wants you to do.
It's just a little pea.
Ever notice when you go to a canyon in any movie, we hear a hawk?
Uh-huh.
Are those cows in there? Are those moose? I'm trying to say, are those moos in there?
There's
those cows
definitely
mooing?
definitely cow sounds in there.
Pretty funny. The canyon turned out real nice.
Didn't it?
Yeah,
Great job.
That eye's hilarious.
That was an addition from our animators. That wasn't storyboarded or even asked to be that way. But
I don't think we've ever done that before either. It's funny. That's a good cartoon logic thing.
yeah.
I'm not fighting him. There's no way I can defeat an army that
I'm
large.
just kind of slow, and it took me a long time to get this, to catch these. Paw keep continuing to
Oh,
appear on the other side of Larry. I had to follow those through several times to go.
Do you get it now?
No, not really.
No, it's still.
This time he made a mistake.
It's a tough gag to pull off.
Not once.
Not that you guys didn't get it, but I'm just not that bright.
Although, as far as I'm concerned, the jury's still out on spiders.
That I get.
But if I did, I'd need a sign first.
A sign?
I've got to know absolutely.
Yeah, this is where it was good that we took off the stick from the angel, because Gideon believed the angel, and yet if he looked fake,
Yeah.
then
It'd
why
be-
would he believe
why would
him?
he
So it was
believe
important
that?
that he looked real.
I've been just admiring the backgrounds again. Joe and Chuck's paintings back there.
They're lovely. This song, when we first got the script, we realized this song is going to be one of the longest songs in VeggieTale
It was
history.
almost longer than 113 years ago from Easter Carol.
It's
and
amazing.
Just chapters.
And we had so much detail to cover in it, to try to cover visually, the creation.
Well, and the
and-
screen direction on the script says things like, and then 100 children appear and morph into the earth, and
Right.
then
Yeah.
the
Right.
earth morphs into 100 hands, and we're like, okay,
I'm just
first
like,
of all,
Very creative visually.
what is
but-
morphing? We don't do that. So we had to figure out a way to actually animate it.
Did you say what is morphine?
Morphing.
Oh, morphing. Okay.
I'm just trying to get myself to breathe while I'm reading the script. It's like, how are we going to get this
That's like the
done?
Crystal Palace heart attack.
Yeah.
From Star of Christmas.
Do you need before you'll trust God?
So we worked out this new way of. Excuse me.
Bless you. You're still tearing up from that line?
No, I'm all right.
Okay.
So we want, and well, it was this cool song, and it was on a screen, so we wanted something different visually. So we came up with this kind of flat treatment where everything was flat and very graphic.
Kind of 2.5D.
And Brian did to his credit, Brian did the early testing with Paul on that sort of, on the moon and the flowers and things like that.
Well, right. The original plan was that we were just going to just have Pa as like a 2D cutout whose mouth just kind of opened and closed. And that was going to be it as far as his animation, as he turned into all these different things. And I felt really strongly, well, I felt like for as long as the song was and as much as Pa carried it, he really needed to be fully expressible. It needed to be a fully animated character. And yet we knew that we weren't going to model flowers and globes and fish with
And
Pa's face
Abraham
on
and
it.
Isaac and Jacob and Paul and Billy Graham.
So we came up with this hybrid where we took Pa's real face, that's his face just like you would see when he's a grape, but we took it off of the grape and we rendered it out separately and put it onto all these different surfaces.
Well, and I think it kind of worked really good because you've got, you got Paul appearing in this kind of show world inside the movie, and yet he's sort of halfway appearing in it, which is kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. But he's an angel.
He's an angel.
He's got credentials.
So he can do that.
Now, this prop is the one thing that in the show that I was never.
Fur is just
this
so hard.
I wonder. This is a fleece, right? But
Yeah,
I
like
wonder,
you
like,
would
is
wash
it
your car
a
with.
dead something, or?
No, you cut it off of a sheep. You don't actually skin the sheep.
No, I
You
know,
get-
but what it looks like in the show.
I know, it looks like
It's
roadkill. I know.
Roadkill. This is,
But that's
this a
our
cat
that's-
that got
yeah,
hit. I
that's-
didn't know
that's
what the.
not anybody's fault but my own.
No, it's not. It's not to blame. It was just always to me looked odd.
Is that from that cat sound effect that we heard earlier
Yeah.
when the football went off
right,
screen?
right, exactly.
A cat fleece.
The remnant.
There's always a hawk in a canyon, and there's always a cat when their stuff gets knocked over. That's a general rule of sound effects, right?
This is really cool right here. The waves and I love that effect.
Yeah, we were trying
Like
to
the fish.
islands coming up and seas.
Yeah.
I'm
How are
reading
we gonna
fish
do
jumping
that?
up out of the
Water's not
water.
expensive. I love this what Kurt did with the song too, because the temp track was fun, and then when he did the final, oh man, it really came up several notches. That's you singing too. You and Kurt.
Me and
did-
Kurt,
you
yeah,
and
as
Kurt in the back.
usual. Whenever we have a choir, it ends up being like me and Kurt. Maybe sometimes Mike or Phil might hop in on it. We need more singers around here.
You're our dedicated tenor.
Yeah, I am, and Kurt's our dedicated bass.
That can be put on your business card now.
Dedicated tenor.
Director and dedicated tenor.
And usually I'm either a P or a fat gourd. I don't know why that ends up that way.
But you want us?
Typecast.
We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the idea of this test too, because I remember trying explaining this to you during the production about the idea of it. Why it seems weird. Why would a fleece be dry on the ground wet and vice versa? But it was a natural phenomenon of dew on the grass, and yes, dew, D-E-W, dew.
Right.
And he said, I want the fleece to be wet and the ground dry. But then he
Because what could have happened
is the ground dries faster, and then
so the dew could have fallen. The
and
fleece would
soaked
stay
everything.
wet.
Yeah,
Right.
And I thought, well, okay, let me see it the other way to make sure this is an actual miracle, and indeed it was.
So the actual miracle was really the second day, and Gideon just realized.
Well, they're
it.
both miracles. Yeah, but I think.
But there's a explainable phenomenon for the first day, and then the second one could only happen through God's.
So we had to figure out to do our VeggieTale twist on what we were going to do for the military accoutrements that
which
Gideon used in the real battle
were clay pots and torches and ram's horns.
So we replaced those with our own sort of brass,
and then flashlights, which are sunny.
So is that how we ended up with marching bands then?
Yes, because the clay pots were used to make noise during the battle. They would break them and then shine their lamps and then blow their trumpets. But the drum line became the breaking.
Didn't they have the torches in the clay pots, and then they took the clay pots off the torch to reveal the light?
Yeah,
and then they broke the clay pots.
The light all came on at once and surprised the enemy. I keep bumping my mic.
The whole idea was to make it seem like there's just a huge, vast army out there ready to attack.
They did that in Lost last season too. It was cool.
It all comes back.
Oh,
and by the way, too, I didn't want to try and say. I love this bit here before I go on with what I was going to say. Oh, my flashlight! I get to keep it. Nice job, Brian. But biblically, the angel didn't follow Gideon around throughout all this. Gideon was hearing directly from God, but we didn't want to put a voice for God in the show, talking to him, and have him just listen and repeat everything he heard. Would have been boring, so
well, we've got kind of a sixth sense thing with the angel where no one else ever talks to the angel.
Yeah, it is.
It's only
I didn't want to imply that anybody else can
interchange.
see him.
Right. So nobody else ever talks to him. Nobody ever pays attention to him. It's just Gideon just turns around and talks to somebody.
Just in case you were wondering, only Gideon is supposed to be able to see this angel.
Right. Now, we had a lot of discussions during development over these tests, and which way the children of Israel were supposed to drink from the water to get selected and what it meant.
Yes, and because it could almost be interpreted two different ways, but we finally came to the full understanding and conclusion that it was the soldiers who would kneel down and bring the
water up to their mouth
and could look around and keep an eye out for the enemy who were
the idea was that the ones that were selected for the final army were the ones that were going to be vigilant and attentive and really focused on their faith of trusting God, so not their own needs at the moment. Yeah. So
this set worked out beautifully, didn't it? I really liked the lighting on it. I liked the miniature canyon. It's a shame we didn't use it more because it's so pretty.
Yeah, it's an awful lot of work for one little gag.
Right.
But it's a funny gag, so. Oh, it's so pretty at night.
We worked really hard on this scene, too. This is another one.
On the writing of it?
Well, both the writing and then ultimately the boarding and in editorial to get the timing just right of. And it's coming up. It's really the kind of this last bit of the scene.
I know how glorious he is. I know he never breaks his promise.
When he says there sure are a lot of them, I'm never sure if he's talking about the stars or the Midianites.
I think it's a double meaning.
Maybe.
You know what I think?
This is very deep script.
It's easy for an angel to trust.
I love those clouds.
Because see, God created the whole universe, and there's a lot of it. He's big.
And the children of Israel were to be numbered as the stars of the sky, in the heavens.
Wow.
And there's a lot of Midianites against them, arrayed against them. So it was,
and
who's bigger? Who's bigger?
Wait, no, there's
You and I
13,
both know
right?
I can't do
13
this
what?
alone.
13 warriors now, including Gideon.
I don't know. The
Six
number
peas
kind of
and six
changes from shot
carrots.
to shot. When we
Yeah.
get into the battle, we needed a few
There's not very
extras.
many.
We'll be done. That's it, I guess. Oh,
It's a
one more
sweet
thing.
prayer.
It is.
Could have chosen anybody, but you chose me.
And the animators did a great job.
Amen.
It's very sincere.
Now, I acted this part out to show the animators how I wanted this reaction right here. I got one of Kurt's baritones and did this little thing on video. And you know what? It really works. I could hear really well when I held the thing up to my ear.
Yeah.
Was anyone talking about you at the time?
We
Yes,
actually
and I was embarrassed at what they said. It was all complimentary, but I'm
So we actually
kinda
sit
humble.
around doing these things, testing these.
And this is actually from the biblical story too, where didn't Gideon snuck into the Midianite camp, right? And he
Yeah.
overheard.
He had an
guys
opportunity
talking
to
about-
actually hear the Midianite camp and realize that there was
I didn't need a
There was worry
fear.
and discontent. Yeah, they had, somebody did have a dream that they were going to be.
And that was after he'd already decided he was going to do what God told him.
Yeah,
And it was
and it-
almost like God just saying, by the way,
It was God's confirmation that he's at work. He is at work, and it is his battle.
Are you with me? Yes, sir. I want 3 groups around the rim of the valley. Wait for my signal.
it's nice lighting
You
with the
men come
campfire.
with me.
Mm-hmm.
You go to the south end, and so we don't split the peas, you go up the middle. Did he just make a split pea
Yeah.
joke?
Split pea soup.
That's always funny. That's pretty. It's hard to make these guys wink.
You just close one eye. What's so
I
hard
don't
about
know,
it?
but to make it look good. But that looked good. They did a good job.
They did a great job.
Oh, you're right. There are more peas now, aren't there?
Yeah.
Now, Kurt had to do a lot of work on this
Yes, because
particular music.
the script just said insert song here because the scriptwriter could write lyrics, but the song has no lyrics.
Well, and we couldn't wait till after the animation was done to do the song because so much of the animation is driven by the song.
Yes, and we wanted, had even this, and not just general. There were like specific beats we wanted to hit, and little riffs like that where they're hitting the ground or hitting the bells of the other trumpets. So this song was completed pretty early in the production process.
Well, the music was written, and we did a temp version.
Yeah.
And then at the end, we actually came back and recorded like real drummers and
from
real
a local
trumpet.
from a
and-
local high school band, the drummers
from Kurt Heineke's daughter's
and my
high school
son's
band.
my son's high school band. Only he just
Except
joined.
he's not in the band. And his
He is
daughter
now.
Oh, he is?
He just joined
in the
us-
marching band?
He's in the marching band. He just joined. He didn't join early enough to get in the show, unfortunately.
Oh, because he's a drummer.
Uh huh.
That's exciting. So he's going to be in the band with Gretchen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I
Yeah,
love
so-
the cold cream.
Yeah, I love that game.
and the curlers.
Curlers is always funny.
So they're fun.
That was sounded a lot different in the temp version. When Kurt did the final, he really went to town on that.
It's kind of funny though if you notice, there's like thousands of these guys at the first of the show, and when they're leaving, there's only like 7 of them.
But the
Midianites?
Yeah, running away.
Well, they
No,
just
we're
See,
cutting.
we'll
We're
count
intercutting.
them. Okay,
those are
right.
7 different ones each time. They just have 7 costumes.
Hey, you're the
Oh.
producer. It's
I just let people know. See, count them. Count the Midianites running away.
because all the others are already gone. These are the stragglers.
The stragglers. All right. I just ruined it for everybody, right?
Now this will really ruin it. The sun is behind them, but their shadows are falling
And-
No,
towards
because they
the
have
sun.
a reflector. They have a reflector over here.
Right.
You've seen them go on a movie set before.
Yeah, I love that.
That happens in just about every movie you see. And once we do it, then you give me grief.
Good job, Gideon. Here.
Even though no one can see him, they step aside so that he can
Right.
get towards Gideon.
Well, we
Right.
could have him walk through them, but that would have just been creepy.
That would have been an effect. That's expensive.
They must have heard him coming.
Or to look like a mistake.
In my nightstand, right next to my bed.
And everybody else must be like, "Where'd that Bible come from?"
Now the next show, then Brian will pick on some of his stuff in his segments.
Yeah,
We
let's
were
back
very
it up.
easy on him
Back
on
up
this
the
show.
tape. Back up the
Back up and
video.
go back
I'm
to the
gonna-
Mueller
I'm
segment.
gonna
We'll show you some
Talk about the
stuff.
under-table lighting in Mueller.
Right. The light.
And the misspelling on the newspapers.
Right. Well, that's Joe's fault. I blame a Joe.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh, that's
and there
funny.
we are, Bob,
And Bob makes a cameo.
Bum bum bum.
as a balloon.
Whoa, holy
That's not a stretch.
cool. Good one. Nice job.
No, but it is an expansion of his duties.
Oh, I love the pirates who don't do anything. We should make a movie with them.
That's
You
a
think?
good idea.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that?
They're funny.
I'll go to work on
I
that
like
now.
it just about every time they appear, Paul's got something different on his hat. He's like,
Yeah.
Will he have something different in the film?
He will. And you'll have to come to the movie to see.
Or just watch the trailers.
Oh, come on.
Thanks a lot.
You make it too easy, Brian.
We should do a different hat in each shot.
Yeah.
Or just leave it tic-tac-toe, but then change who won.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, this time the O's won. And now the X's.
Oh, man, he got the center square.
That's the good
You'll
square.
be crazy not to take the center square if you're first. I'm always suspicious of people when you're playing tic-tac-toe if they go first and they don't take the center square.
There are
think,
ways to.
What are they up to?
I know, and it sets you off, and they win.
Puts me off my
Hey,
guard.
the turtle tubies
The
again.
wiggly
turtle
turtle
tubies.
Wiggly turtle tubies. Yeah, that's me and Kurt. Peas again.
And that's a big light socket. I mean, a plug-in. I
Well,
like that.
They're small tomatoes.
I
and
know.
Peas.
Vegetables and peas. David loves it when we write new versions of what we have learned today. So
Yeah,
It's
I
more
do.
work. We have to re-record
I
it
do.
one more time.
It's that whole thing of it'd be nice if the countertop was just the countertop for
Well,
once.
this we're different colors joke was left over from something that was written for the introducing the silly song in the first place, but it got cut out. But it was still a little silly in the end, so we left it in. And it's kind of just a random pulling out of
But
nowhere reference.
aren't they all green?
Well, their hats are different colors, you see.
and their
Ah,
turtle shell bodies are different colors.
Gotcha.
Isn't that incredible?
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do.
Because you couldn't have, 4 children's characters who are all the same color. That would just be embarrassing.
It would.
So,
Would.
Rachel, I think you should show kindness to the new girl in your
We use all the primary colors on our shows.
Do we ever use the tertiary colors?
I think we do from time to time, actually.
Green is a tertiary color.
I
That's
really
a
like this
secondary.
little moment between Pa and Bob, and Pa thanks Bob for letting him do something. It's a
that's
sweet little moment.
It is sweet.
It's sweet. Now he...
You're welcome. It's been nice seeing you guys show some initiative. Speaking of which, now that we got one story under our belts, I was thinking...
What's going on?
Well, what's the hardest thing to do?
Oh,
Getting a movie
Our
going.
pirate movie. Is that what our movie's going to be called, David?
Yeah, sure.
Our pirate movie.
Our
Sure, that
pirate
sounds
movie.
good.
That's the real poster.
Paul is a marketing genius.
No, that was because we didn't know what the title was when we were doing this. We were still working on the film, and we had a couple of working titles, and so let's come up with something a little generic.
Well,
for
something
this.
that Paul would come up
Exactly,
with, after all.
exactly.
Right. And then he'll hand it off to the marketing people, and that's their job.
He doesn't have...
I can get the funding.
Yeah, that's great.
You don't know how true that is.
How true he has spoken. Maybe he doesn't know much about making a movie, but he knows that.
Yeah, well, when we first wrote that, we didn't have the funding, did
Yeah,
we?
not quite.
Not
No.
exactly.
But now we do have the funding.
Now we've got the funding.
So we're making it, folks. Don't
We're
you worry.
making
And we're
movie.
spending that funding
Spring of-
every day on a
every
great film.
day.
Spring of 08, right, David?
Should
See,
be
and-
sometime spring of
The
08.
little trumpet solo over Kurt's name, I asked him to put that back in. I said, you need something musical when we introduced the music. Who did the music? So he wasn't trying to toot his own horn. I asked him to do that.
I think I'm the only director who's had to animate his own credits.
In the world?
Well, maybe not.
You don't even know that, Brian.
Like anybody could know that. No, because I always end up. John Trashed always helps us design our credits, and he gives me all the files. But then I actually have to go back and go in and animate them.
Oh,
But we designed this one to be a really easy one because since I'm also directing some other shows and helping with the movie and other things, we didn't have time for me to
have to do all the
sit there and
special
fiddle
stuff.
with lots of like on Sherlock Holmes where we did the magnifying glass.
These are very readable credits.
They are, and we learn a little bit every time.
I keep going bigger, make the point size bigger.
And wider like T's.
Right.
Like the horizontal parts need to be wider.
Yeah, so they don't
or
buzz
taller.
or get lost.
They look great. There's all our great folks in Canada. Thanks, folks in Canada.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank
Dave.
you guys.
I can speak Canadian,
Great
you know.
job.
Did a
Dave.
great job.
Justin and Rick and Joe, we love them. Thanks, guys.
And there's John Troush again.
Yay.
Thank you for the credits. Kurt. Thank you, Kurt, for all the wonderful
And John
music.
Charles guitar. And then
And everybody here for writing such nice stuff.
It's great stuff. That's a fun show. It's like a classic VeggieTales show.
It really is.
It's not huge. It's just good and funny and solid. Good job, Tim. Good job, David.
Good job to you.
Thank you, Brian. You did marvelous.
I'm glad to be a part of it.
And here's our big
sign off,
our logo.
Well, why are we using this now instead of the old one? Just because it's
better,
cooler.
It's cooler
and newer. So if we've got this new version, then we definitely need a new thing on the front. Maybe on the next show. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thanks
everybody.
for coming.
Okay, Larry, it's time for the theme song.
Hello, everybody. This is Mike Naraki.
And this is Brian Roberts.
Let's see, and who are we?
You're Larry.
I'm Larry, and the
I'm
writer.
not Bob.
You're not Bob, but I wrote The Lone Stranger. No, wait, no, it's Mo and the Big Exit.
Mo and the Big Exit. We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah, and Brian directed Mo and the Big Exit.
Yes, I did.
Yep. So, and a fine job you did, and I'm about ready to see it all in its full beauty. I haven't watched it yet in its full beauty, so this is.
I think this is the same beauty you saw it in last night,
but it's with better sound.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that'll be really good.
Yeah, we got the score and the songs in now.
So why don't we talk about the title first?
Well, let's talk about the development. Why did we make a show called Mo and the Big Exit, or as the Indians call it, The Lone Stranger?
The Lone Stranger. Well, we wanted to tell the story of Moses, and obviously it's a great story, and one very much worth telling. And we've told a little bit about Moses before we did Miriam, the story of Moses and Miriam, in a little episode before. What episode that was that?
That was in Duke and the Great Pie War.
Yes,
formerly known as Princess and the Pie War.
About loving your family. And
also a title change.
That's right. Whenever there's Moses involved, we change the title of the video. And but we ran through a bunch of different ideas of how we were going to tell the story. Were we going to tell it as a space epic, or like a 80s sitcom, which we kept the song for, which ended up as the silly song.
Didn't that have a Time Warp Fiesta in it?
No, the Time Warp Fiesta is something else that has never been made, but
and may never be.
Oh yeah, I still hold on to hope because it's an I Love Lucy spoof, which I really want to do.
Hi, kids. Welcome to VeggieTales. I'm Bob the Tomato.
And I'm Larry the Cucumber.
And we're here to answer...
Wow, Larry looks really nice in a hat.
Dashing.
Really, really cool. I wish I looked that good in a cowboy hat.
Maybe you just need a big one.
6'5", I just look like a big, giant guy in a cowboy hat.
Wouldn't that be true of any kind of hat that you wear?
Yeah, I guess so, but cowboy hats even make it worse.
Right. So we wanted to do Moses,
I was going to talk about having roller skates on and wearing a cowboy hat at the same time.
Then you're like,
that'd be really cool.
Then you're like 7'2".
Yeah.
With a cowboy hat.
Yeah, I'll do that one
You'd
time.
need a cowboy hat that scales up proportionally to your height.
Yeah. So I'm sorry to interrupt. What were you saying?
You interrupted yourself because you were talking about how we wanted to do the story of Moses.
Yes.
And we went through a lot of different options, and then we realized, right, that there were connections between the story of Joseph and Moses in the Bible.
Flash insight. Wait a minute. That's right.
And so then we said, well, we've already done Joseph, and it was a Western, and what if we did Moses as a Western too?
Yep.
And it just was all downhill from there.
That's right.
Uphill.
Yeah.
Whichever is more positive.
Yeah, no, but... Yeah, it made a lot of sense to do it as a Western. We had so much fun with Little Joe that it just worked out really, really well. So, and then the whole idea of being able to do a sort of a Western cowboy narration too was really fun. And
where did that idea come from, of the narrator and the cowboy singers kind of carrying the story along as storytellers?
It just in the development process, we came up with that, and kind of what drove that was just this, what a lot of the inspiration was Riders in the Sky, and kind of what they do with their storytelling and with their singing. So I thought it'd just be really fun to write that type of Western music to lead us along and have the cowboy narrator that we come back to every now and again.
And as a result, we ended up with lots and lots of songs.
That's right.
Which made a lot more work for Kurt.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Or as the Indians called it,
Wow.
Lone Stranger. Either way,
So, how long did it take you to write the show?
Well, it took us a few months to develop it, and that was with Phil Vischer, David Pitts, and Tim Hodge and I. We spent a number of months developing it, and then I think by the time I started writing it, it was another couple months, so another solid 2 months to write it.
Well, there's our narrator, Specs.
Oh yeah, well, why don't you talk about him for a little bit, because that's a cool story.
The character's name is Specs, the red guy, and then the blue guy's name is Blue, and the yellow guy's name is Yellow.
Wow, clever.
And then the green guy's name is Jorge.
Midgel, Fidgel, Zidgel, and Kevin.
Something like that.
Same model.
Except Jorge, Specs, and blue and yellow.
Is that nose hair or a mustache?
That's a mustache.
That's kind of disturbing.
You wrote this big narrator character.
Yeah.
Who was a guitar playing, singing, narrating, storytelling cowboy. And we didn't have any storytelling cowboys in-house. Well... You gave a shot at it.
I gave a shot at it, but, try as I may, I'm not a real cowboy.
Right.
So we needed a real cowboy.
So John Troust here in the office, when he heard we were doing a show with a cowboy quartet, or, cowboy singers, he gave me this, I wanted to say CD, but it was a cassette tape. It was a cassette tape of the Bar J Wranglers out of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And he said, you got to hear these guys. You should get them for your cowboy singers in the show. And I tried to do that, but we just didn't have the money to get all 4 of them. And actually, Babe started the Bar J Wranglers, but then he was retired, so it was really 5 guys we were looking at hiring, and there just wasn't the money or the time to deal with it. So then you gave it a shot, but we decided we really wanted that authenticity in the role of the narrator. Mm-hmm. So we called just Babe, and had him audition, and he ended up being just great, and we brought him down, and he re-recorded everything that you had already done.
That's right.
But did a better job.
It was really cool having a real cowboy here, though. Flew in direct from Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Actually, Las Vegas.
Las Vegas?
Yeah, he lives in Las Vegas during the winter.
Oh, yeah, it's a little cold in Jackson Hole.
Right.
But it's a beautiful place, Jackson Hole is.
It is. I look forward to going there someday.
Yeah. I've driven through a couple times.
We got Babe in to do the voice of the narrator, and just did an incredible job.
Yeah.
Really added that sense of authenticity and charm and cowboyishness.
Yep.
Cowboyicity.
So here they are painting the Painted Desert, digging the Grand Canyon, and building Monument Valley. Thought it'd be kind of fun to, just take a Western view of what it would be like, instead of, building the pyramids as as they did in Prince of Egypt.
Well, because in the story of Moses, the Hebrews built what became the tourist attractions of Egypt.
Right.
Because now the pyramids are the tourist attractions of Egypt. So in our story, we're building what will become the tourist attractions of the Old West.
That's right.
That voice got recorded 3 times. Finally, Kurt ended up doing a good job. This location is just gorgeous. This canyon. I'm thrilled with how it turned out. Joe Spataford painted all those mats. For the background. Cool. So really, all we built, and actually we didn't even build it. The cliffs are actually from Gideon. So we took these cliffs from Gideon, flipped them the other way, added some scaffolding, and painted a new background and retextured them. And it just created this totally new location with an incredibly beautiful aesthetic.
Aesthetic-y,
if I do say so myself. And I do.
I like their outfits. They're very, very nice. It looks very Wild Wild West-ish. Remember that? Wild Wild West?
I do. You mean the one with the big spider?
Yeah, well, that was the movie. Yeah, that was the movie, but there was the TV show during the 70s and 80s, I think.
And my mom really liked that show.
Yeah.
Not the one with the spider, the one from the 80s, from the 70s.
Yeah. I watch that all the time, too.
So this mayor, we didn't talk about this, but obviously at the beginning, there was the old Dodgeball City, and then we cross-dissolved to the new Dodgeball City, and there's been a period of, how many? Biblically, it was hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. In our story, it's more like maybe 20 or 30 years, probably. Mm-hmm. So this mayor, even though it's still Nezer, it's actually the descendant of the mayor from Little Joe. That's why he looks different.
Yeah, looks a little bit different.
But he's still played by Mr. Nezer, our character. So it's not the same mayor from Little Joe. It's a new mayor, a descendant of the mayor from Little Joe.
That's a nice float that's going on there on that little basket. That's nice.
Animators did a nice job. Now this is our new character, one of our new characters, the mayor's daughter, and she's a zucchini, and I'm kind of. I wish I could have worked on her a little more because I kind of feel like she looks like She-Hulk.
It's her hair texture. It looks like ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, very tasty.
It is. It's
now, what baby is that?
Oh, the baby story is great. We had some really temporary sound effects in there, just from a sound effects library, but realized we needed a lot more emotion than what that was giving us. So actually, here in the office, we recorded my son and daughter to do some little parts for the voice, and then sent those up to Canada to have them edited by the sound effects editor. But then meanwhile, he had a friend of his with I don't know how old he was. With a little baby, probably 8 months or a year. And his friend went home and recorded like an hour of the baby just being cute and silly.
Oh, yeah.
And so they ended up using all of that. We ended up using all of that footage for the baby.
Yeah.
Here's you wanted me to cut this joke, remember? And I said no.
Wow, I'm glad you didn't listen to me.
I think it's funny. And the voice of the mayor's daughter, is a friend of mine, Julie Smith, who has never done any kind of professional acting before, and just did a great job.
Yeah. When I was writing it, the voice that was in my head was Sandy from SpongeBob, Sandy the squirrel, and she very, very nicely approximated that.
But in her own unique and crazy way.
That's right.
She's created something new.
Did he just spit?
Yeah, he spits. He was supposed to lick it. He was supposed to lick it, but then they were, the animators are like, "Well, can he just spit? Because then we don't have to make a tongue." But of course, then you have to make an effect of him spitting. So I really doubt that it actually saved any money in the long run.
Yeah.
Todd Carter drew these little pictures, and Joe Spatterford painted them. Little tin types of Mo growing up. Originally in the script, that was actually action, all that growing up stuff, wasn't it? Or
no, I think we were going to montage it, with stills.
Okay.
So
but it's a lot easier to paint old because there's a lot of like young versions of characters there that we didn't have modeled.
Right.
So it was easier just to draw it than to try to build it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yippee-ki-yo.
Not that big, we know.
This is great. Just the music in the show is so amazing. So much fun. Mo! That was really bad. No, not the music, my little Mo.
Yeah, your little Mo there.
This is great. The music here is terrific. Aw, poor Mo. Nobody likes him. So Charlie Pincher has kind of a new voice here, even though it's still Tim. Charlie's always had this kind of British voice.
Yeah, it's Cockney.
But now he's got a Gabby... Who is it? Gabby Hayes? The old Western guy?
Yeah, very Western. But he's a British guy who can, do a Western accent, which is nice.
Well, it was tricky finding a voice that fit in a Western that still sounded like Charlie.
Yeah.
So you didn't think, well, that sounds like a new character.
Yeah.
But Tim did a great job.
Yep.
Saw you wearing that badge.
Huh?
That really hurts right there. Really,
oh, you can tell.
It hurts.
Yeah, everything's fine.
So Sloan Yarborough did the voice of Bill. And that was actually a recast because we originally had Joe Spatterford do it, and Joe did a great job. But this scene in general has been the most difficult in the whole show for me. I've struggled the most with how intense to make it because it has to feel important, but then I don't want it to be so scary or upsetting that the kids just get really worked up by it.
Right. Yeah, we struggled with that because, and obviously in the story of Moses, this is where he kills the Egyptian. And, we wanted to reflect that, but do it in a way that wasn't going to be terrifying. So it was a hard thing to do.
So it's really been challenging. I actually did something in this scene that's really a no-no in animation. After some shots were animated, I made them shorter. So some animator had worked on, part of this shot that ended up getting cut. And that's a naughty thing to do. You're not supposed to edit animation. But it made the scene stronger.
Yeah, it's making it a little shorter.
And the whole thing with Bill hitting the river, that was an addition that I really didn't want to do at first because I wanted it to be like this big dramatic moment and fade out to black and Mo is like his world dissolves out, like fades to black behind him and just really intense.
Mm-hmm.
But it was I was afraid it was going to be too upsetting and get kids worked up too much and be like, oh, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like showing him hitting the water. Oh, look, he's breathing. He's okay.
Yeah.
Even of course biblically, Moses did kill that guard.
Mm-hmm.
But just for a VeggieTales, it was feeling like too much in that spot.
Right. Well, we had the whole thing of going up the river, that convention of drawing that parallel between death and going up the river. So
that we used for the babies as well.
Yeah, it worked for that.
Mo made it to the Rockies.
That map I took the map from Little Joe and I moved stuff around to make that map.
Well, except for the bears.
The bear is great. We had a lot of big discussions about whether we were going to show the bear or not. Because obviously you wrote the bear and he's running away from a bear. But I was told at one point to try to shoot it without ever showing the bear.
That'd be like a Hitchcock film.
Well, but even Hitchcock would have shown like a little bit of the bear.
Yeah.
But I was told not to show the bear at all at one point, and I finally just said, I think we need to show the bear. But we deliberately made him simple. Like you'll notice you never see his feet because that made it a lot easier animation-wise. Because you can just sort of bob him around and. You don't have to animate arms and legs and feet and all that.
Right.
Easier.
And was he based off of the upcoming Zippy here? The bear?
No, it was a totally new model.
Oh,
that was another thing we talked about, was putting a bear head onto Zippy's body.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't happen. Thank goodness. It probably would have been weird. So this song...
That's a pretty set.
What
right
was...
there.
You want to talk about this song a little bit?
Oh, yeah. We had to change this like 4 or 10 times, something like that. Originally, what was it? I can't even remember what it was.
Valderie.
He was singing Valderie.
No,
I can't sing it. Oh, no. Yeah. Strike that. Yeah, because we don't want to do anything that's not absolutely
right.
Public
and then
domain.
We wanted it to, so it needed to be public domain, and it wasn't. So then we were like, well, let's do Kumbaya. And we found out that was not public domain.
Can you believe Kumbaya is not public domain?
It was surprising. I thought it was a spiritual, but it's not. It was written in the 30s.
Yeah, so everybody that sings Kumbaya at camp, you're going to have to pay a royalty.
Right. And so, if you don't know Kumbaya, I can't sing it for you now to those listening.
Yeah, it's a sad thing.
It's very sad. So we finally landed on Home on the Range, which I think was a good
that's nice and Western.
It was a good compromise.
You're a tall drink of water.
Not that tall.
I like Zippy. Zippy actually was named for Zipporah in the original version of the story of Moses. The original version. What am I saying? In the story of Moses.
So you took Moses' wife's name and gave it to a buffalo.
Oh, not really gave it because it's her name wasn't Zippy. It was Zipporah. Sort of an ode to.
It's a shout out.
It's a shout out, but Zipporah didn't sound. Sally sounded much more Western.
Right.
So, so I wanted to go with Sally.
I had a friend named Zippy once. You could have named the girl Zippy.
It was a girl.
A girl. Her girl. It was a woman whose name was Zippy.
But wasn't your
her
girlfriend?
Real name was actually Zetharin, but her nickname was Zippy.
Wow.
So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's quite a name.
She would have married Scottie Pippen. She could have been Zippy Pippen, which would have been really cool.
Well, that reminds me of a roller coaster in Memphis named the Zippin' Pippin.
Oh, wow.
But that's not there anymore.
Oh.
They tore it
too
down.
bad.
It was
Too
Elvis's
bad.
favorite roller coaster.
Good times.
Yeah.
Hi, Sally and Zippy. Pleased to meet ya. My name's Mo.
When the larks go tweet, a tweedle-deedle-dee, and the doves say coo, a cootie-ootie-oo, and the sun hangs high in the Rocky Mountain sky.
Here's another song. Does the music never end in this show? Good grief.
I like
Kurt
this song.
and I had to record all of our parts twice because when Babe came on, he sang everything in a new key. So all the stuff that Kurt and I had already recorded was invalid now, or invalid.
Do over.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of stuff on this show we've had to do 2 and 3 times.
Yeah.
And I blame him myself. It's because of my inexperience.
Oh, but you've done a
or
fine
my
job.
perfectionism. One or the other.
I like the TPs.
They're wonderful. It's something
Yeah.
about them. Just it's the texture and the design just all came together, and the lighting, of course.
Yeah.
And the modeling. They're terrific. They're one of my favorite things in the whole show is the teepees.
Yeah.
I don't know what's burning that fire.
I think it's a cow pie.
There's Are they flammable?
Oh yeah.
Or a buffalo pie.
A buffalo pie, yeah. That's
I
why they
didn't
keep
know.
Zippy around for warmth.
It's their fuel. That line, Mo and Sally got hitched and started a family, we had to move that. Because originally, when we edited, you read the script, it all makes sense. When we edited it together, that line didn't come till later here. And so we had, we built a TP, and then Mo and Sally come walking out with this new baby, but we haven't yet said that they had actually gotten married.
Oh,
so
well, we can't condone that.
We seemed to be condoning things that we don't condone.
That was uncondonable.
Well, let's not judge. But so anyway, we took the line out of another part and moved it to there.
Yeah,
to say they got hitched and started a family, and oh look, there's a baby, and it was all much more Protestant and acceptable. I think that's one of our first on-screen kisses between two love interest characters. Don't you think?
I think so. Well, it was more just like a
It was
peck
a
on
peck.
the cheek.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't
on the
It
cheek.
was a sliver of wood he pulled off that tree the day he met Sally. He never went anywhere without it. What with the
Well,
Okay.
good thing for editors, huh?
Yeah.
Huh? Good times.
This could be what you might call
Chris didn't want to do any editing, but
He shakes his fist at me
and look, they're walking off into the sunset.
with a buffalo.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
That's a nice sunset.
I didn't think I was going to get a sunset lighting setup, so we were going to have to fake it. But then they decided to do a sunset lighting setup, and that was exciting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because then I used it when they got to the teepees the first time. I used it there too.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lovely lighting setup.
Yeah.
A tumbleweed, a burning tumbleweed.
That looks geometrically, or just in terms of the number of polygons, that looks pretty complicated. Did they do any fancy stuff with that to get that a little lighter? Because that's a lot of twigs bundled together. Is there a lot of texture happening in there?
I don't know. I don't know what I haven't heard if they had any problems with the tumbleweed or not. We did have to. The original concept for the tumbleweed called for reusing the arms from the trees in Lord of the Beans because we already had them.
Yeah.
Rather than building new arms.
Yeah.
But once we saw it animated, it was like, it's kind of creepy. Because personally, I never really liked those arms in the first place. But I was like, okay, we'll save a little money. That's fine.
Yeah.
So we went to the modeler and said, would it be possible to make this cuter? Because it looks kind of creepy, and God shouldn't look creepy.
Yeah,
so the modeling lead, Kevin Kelm, reworked everything without changing the rigging so that the animation still worked. And he did a great job making them more appealing. Cool. And of course, effects, Warren and Dan did a great job on the fire.
Yeah.
It's very fiery.
Very nice burning tumbleweed.
Uh-huh. Yeah, as burning tumbleweeds go. Yep. Talking and burning tumbleweeds.
Yeah, the backgrounds are really nice in this too. I really like the way that they fit into the sets. They're really pretty, Joe.
Thank you. We've worked really hard
on
on flat integration on this show, doing a lot more compositing tricks, like using fog to kind of blur the line between the foreground and the background, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just compositing in general has taken a real leap on this show over on all of our other shows because there have been some new tools available to us. And then we've had a new guy named Andrew Woodhouse up in Canada has been my artistic liaison up there, and he just has a great eye and a great commitment to quality, and he's really helped the show take a big leap, I think.
Yeah.
In its appearance.
That's cool.
I'm very excited about it.
Really, it terrifies me. What? Imagine everyone in their underwear?
We did it at one point during, I think it was Josh and the Big Wall.
Yeah.
When they were going to the, we again with the burning, we did a real burning bush sequence.
I remember that. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
I didn't work for the company then.
Yeah, but so we did that once, and so it's kind of a throwback to that as well.
God's business. Come on, Zippy.
So it's not often we show God, but when we do, he's usually a burning something.
Right. Well, it was, God spoke to Moses through a burning bush, so it's not like God, it's just, what God used to speak to him with.
That line about thanks for the new outfit, Sally, I really wanted to change it to thanks for the new duds, Sally.
Uh-huh.
But I'd already recorded Sydney saying, you're welcome, you're going to need it, and you can't refer to duds as it. You would have had to say them.
Oh,
so I
yeah.
had to give up on that dream.
Wow.
But then as it turned out, I would have been able to get her to re-record.
That is a long way to go up on that buffalo.
Isn't it? Zippy is enormous. It's funny if you go back
see
and
the
look
stirrups on that thing.
If you go back and look at the storyboards, especially the ones that I did, Todd's were better. But whenever I would draw Zippy in the storyboards, he was probably like a quarter of the size that he ended up. So the animators and layout artists did a great job of making it work somehow. Without, there's a few shots where he feels like, whoa, that's a bigger buffalo. But usually he feels just right.
Yeah.
There's a spot, the temp track here, the temp audio had this yodeler there, and I told Kurt that I really wanted yodeling somewhere in the show. I don't care where.
Yeah.
I want yodeling in the show. And so he obliged me and put a little bit there in the shot of Mo looking tired. But it was really awful. And Paula Marcus, one of the producers, said, you've got a great show here. Don't ruin it with yodeling.
Yodeling has saved many a show.
I was going to kill this one. Of course, the live harmonica, as usual on our shows, was done by Tim Hodge. And that whole exchange with Aaron nodding and the harmonica is just a great example of Kurt's musical humor.
Yeah.
And Tim's prowess on the... Was there a slang for the harmonica?
Like I was going to say
prowess on the
harp or something like that.
The mouth harp.
Yeah.
That's something else. Zippy with his mask is so cute. I think that was Rob Corley's idea.
Oh yeah,
to do a mask on him too. Or maybe it was, I don't remember. It was somebody's idea. I don't think it was in the script, was it?
No, No, it wasn't.
Zippy's so cute behind the buffalo.
Behind a cactus.
The snake transitions, we really were very deliberate about. I didn't want it to be a morph. Like, I didn't want there to be a stick that, like, it takes the shape of a snake and, like, very computery looking.
That'd be too 90s.
Well, right. And I wanted it to feel very kind of like they would have done in the Ten Commandments.
Right.
So we did just a very classic cross dissolve where you've got the stick and then it cross dissolves and it's the snake. And
Right.
It's very, like, low tech and simple and not
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah. We could have done it fancy, right?
We could have, but it was an artistic decision not to.
Not to. Yeah.
This checkerboard is really a game of checkers. I played an online game of checkers to come up with a pattern that would be a real game that could actually happen.
Wow, was it public domain?
I hope so. They'll never know. Because we always talk in our commentaries about how our checkerboards could never really play. So I actually gave them a map of, this is the layout that I want the checkerboard to have. This is the move that the guy makes. I was very particular.
And they were just looking at it thinking, boy, Brian doesn't have anything better to do. Oh, look at that, they're in their underwear.
Now that joke, there's two scenes in the mayor's offices, and that joke originally was in the second scene. And originally the spot with the baby was in this scene the first time we go. But in the editorial process, we realized it would make the underwear funnier and the baby more poignant if the underwear came first. And then the baby was the second one because it's in that second act.
Right.
Which is where the babies actually get float down the river.
Yeah.
But it was a tricky change because then it's like we had to fiddle with, okay, who's in the office and how do they get there and how do they leave, and it was all
what
very
kind of underwear are they
complicated.
wearing? And
all that.
Do underwear come before babies or babies before underwear?
Yep.
Where do diapers fit into the whole thing?
Mm-hmm. Did they have diapers then? Or did they just kind
cloth
of
diapers,
Did
just
they just
cloth.
kind of look for signs that the baby needed to do something and carry them over the balcony and hold them there? Do you know that there's people that train their babies like as young as a month or two to use the potty?
I did not know that.
This
Diapers
is
are
very
so much
interesting.
easier.
Well, no, because then you don't have to deal with diapers.
Wow.
It's like you train the baby to, I don't know how old, maybe it's a couple months, but you train the baby to give you signals that they need to go to the bathroom, and then you carry them over to the potty and set them on it. And no
Wow.
diapers. It saves a fortune, I'm sure. We tried cloth diapers, but that was too much work. Diapers are expensive.
Should we keep talking about diapers?
I don't know. I don't have
We
anything
got about
else
like a
to
half
say.
an hour more about diapers. That'd be nice. Well, originally, one of the early ideas here, I think Phil came up with the idea, was to have Mr. Wyatt there with a kind of a Gatling gun
For dodgeballs. How do you have a Gatling gun for dodgeballs?
It would have been a big device, and it would have just shot it out like a big machine gun. It would have been cool, but it would have been kind of big and expensive.
Sounds complicated.
Yeah.
I think I like it the way it is.
More of a six-shooter dodgeball that he throws in that thing.
Oh, the poor peas. That's so sad. I was excited by how many peas we got into these shots. Because you never really know, like, if there's a shot that says, hundreds of peas working, and you're like, well, I know I'm not going to get hundreds of peas.
A cast of tens.
Dozens. Tens. Here's Philippe and Jean-Claude. Originally, this was one of my failures as a first-time director. I just didn't realize that I had you as Jean-Claude.
Yeah.
But it never even crossed my mind that this other P, because in the script they're just worker 1 and worker 2 or worker 5 or whatever.
Right.
And because when you cast things, you kind of cast out of context, and you say, okay, worker 5. Oh yeah, I can do that.
Right.
And so originally I had myself as that other P that Jean-Claude was talking to. And when we got into the editorial process, we realized, oh, that should probably be Philippe.
Yeah, you can't have Jean-Claude without Philippe.
No. So that was a good save. Yeah. I was glad we were able to get Philippe in there.
Yeah. And Phil does Philippe's voice.
Yes, Phil does. And that's how you remember it, folks. Phil does Philippe. It's got a Phil in it.
Yeah, and Mike does Jean-Claude. That makes sense.
Well, it's like Jerry rhymes with Larry.
Michel. That would have been better. Michel.
That sounds like a girly name.
Yeah, it does.
No offense to anyone named, any guys named Michel. Because I know that's very French. And I have nothing against the French.
Oh,
I
is this
love your cheeses.
This is where the Tomahawk song's coming up, right?
Oh, I love the Tomahawk song.
When the earth was born.
Oh, this cracks me up. Using the tomahawk like a cane, and the tapping, the foot tapping, we did that way back when in Dave and the Giant Pickle. We had Junior tapping his foot. But with all this advances in computer technology, it's actually become more difficult to have the characters tap their foots than it was, 10 years ago.
Really?
Because there's the rigs that you use to move them are more limited now.
Wow.
And to do something special like that is actually very difficult, very tricky, as my daughter says.
That's why.
So I had to beg to get that. They originally animated it without the tapping, even though it's very clear I wanted tapping. And I was like, where's the tapping?
So tapping technology has gone in reverse.
So Mike Darney, the animation director, went back to Kevin Kelm, the modeling guy, and said, could we possibly make these characters tappable?
Give them tappers.
And thank goodness they came through on that. Because it's just not as funny if he doesn't tap.
No, tapping works. All right, Boys in the Sink are back in town.
Yo!
Yeah, so we had this song we really wanted to use because we really liked it, and so here it is as the silly song. And
Kurt laid down some funky beats.
He did. Yeah.
Who storyboarded this?
Yeah, was this Rob and Tom who did this?
It was Rob.
Rob Corley?
Rob Corley, one of our standard freelancers. He and Tom live here in Franklin. So we basically hired Rob, and we said, we're doing a silly song and it can't have a set because the rest of the show is just so expensive. We could not, if you remember Boys in the Sink, the original Belly Button, that had like 5 sets, and
that was the most expensive silly song ever.
Well, it accounted for 1/3 of the production budget of Ballad of Little Joe.
Little Joe,
so
yeah.
30% of that show was eaten up by the silly song, and there's some accounting tomfoolery in there in that figure, I think. But
it was worth it, though.
On
that
paper,
was one fine silly song.
It was. So we wanted to do something that would live up to that, but obviously we couldn't spend 1/3 of our budget on the silly song when everything else in the show was so complicated.
Yeah.
So Rob and I and I don't know who else, maybe Tim Hodge, we came up with this idea of having this really simple set and then flashing up these graphics in the background.
Right.
And I think the effect is very pleasing and entertaining. Plus, it's a funny song.
I guess down in Egypt, no moving day is near. Na 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 na.
stick with the Western.
Hey, that's a white hat that he's got on.
That's his Lone Stranger hat.
Oh, and he's got a black one on the countertop.
Right, but he's
Okay.
about to come back as Lone Stranger, so
Oh,
he
yeah,
needs
yeah.
the white hat on.
Gotcha. That's a very nice weave on those baskets too.
Isn't
That's
it?
cool. Yeah.
I was pleased with that. It's one of those things in the concept you look at it and you say, I don't know how that's going to work, but I hope it's good. And it is.
Yeah.
I went with the baby rattle. We caught them being silly in that little spot. So, and to point out that relationship with the baby, that's the mayor's great-grandson.
Yes.
Because Mo is the mayor. Mo and the Zucchini brothers are Mo's grandsons.
Are the mayor's grandsons.
So that right.
Yeah.
The Mo and the Zucchini brothers are the mayor's grandsons. So that baby in the basket is one of the two remaining Zucchini brothers' children, which makes it the mayor's great-grandson.
Just in case you're keeping score for Christmas cards.
Well, I just don't want to confuse anybody. And they're like, where'd the baby come from? Is that the mayor's baby? It's not the mayor's baby. It's his great-grandson.
Great-grandson.
So the mayor looks good for his age, I guess.
He does. I like this little gag with the snake.
So funny. And the music Kurt did, just dum-da-da-da-dum, is perfect. Chomp. I hope people know what those are. I mean,
those little fireworks snakes?
Yeah, those little charcoal snakes.
Yeah, of course.
Because I know what they are, but I just worry. And in Virginia, they're not allowed to sell those anymore because some kid ate one. And not that the kid got sick or, had anything happen to him. He just ate one. And they're like, we can't sell fireworks that look like food.
I guess they kind of do look like, I don't know what, like
charcoal
Skittles or
candy
something.
pellets.
Yeah.
It's not like they're fruity colored. I don't know. So now I have to, when I go home for the 4th of July, I have to buy them in Tennessee and take them home to Virginia. I hope it's not illegal to transport
Yeah,
them over
you just
state
got
lines.
yourself busted.
That would be bad. The water is so pretty in the river.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
This river set in general is probably one of my favorite sets.
Along with the rest of his week.
They're all my favorites. They're like my children. Yeah.
Me to tell you, let my people go.
Guards!
Hi-ho, Sliver! Away!
Huh? Huh?
What is it?
It's tomato juice.
Oh, I love this tomato juice gag here. It's great. And Bob faints. That was Tim's idea. Do the tomato juice gag.
That was very funny. That's a very red river.
That is one green in the middle. Is that AstroTurf? It must be AstroTurf.
Oh, yeah. You can't have that kind of grass out in the desert. Unless it's zoysia, I think.
My dad played golf in, I think it was like Africa or something in the 70s, and on one of his business trips. And he actually said, golfing in the desert, you just take a little pad of AstroTurf with you, and you hit off of the AstroTurf all the way through all the fairways and everything. I thought that was pretty efficient.
That's a lot cheaper than watering it.
Yeah, it sure is.
I love the prairie dogs.
Do they move?
They do move a little bit. They can move their arms. They're like hand puppets. That's how they were
Okay.
designed.
Oh, okay.
So they're just their arms and their head can move.
Okay.
We should have prairie dog hand puppets on the market. I think they'd be big. They'd be big. These grasshoppers look so great. So funny. This song, when Kurt wrote the music for it, it just really took on a new life of its own.
Mhm.
It, originally, because there's so much dialogue in between, it just felt kind of slow.
Mhm.
But then when the music got in there, it just was like, wow, that's really a great song. And it just kind of feels like a knot in the pit of your stomach.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like something is not right.
Yeah.
Which is perfect for this spot. High noon. That's a Western convention right there.
That actually looks like the Back to the Future clock tower right there.
It wasn't meant to. The tornado. again, we have all these years of improvement, but when I got to the tornado, I told them to make it look exactly like the one from Trouble at Planet Doom Funnel Trouble or something from the 321 Penguins episode
Right.
from like 4 years ago, because
that
it was a great
fine-looking
tornado, and I was
tornado,
like, just make it look like that except brown.
Yep.
And they did.
Great.
And it looks great.
Oh, what could he do? I can't go that low now.
Kurt can. This set's so pretty at night.
Kurt and I always have contests who can sing the lower note. Sometimes when I get a cold, I can sing the world's lowest note. But I don't have a cold.
We had some arguments about showing the P in the town, because really the P's, as the Hebrews, would not have been living in kind of the main part of the town.
Right.
But then it was just like, it's too complicated to try to show.
Build a whole new.
Yeah. Well, and, it's just very simple to say, this house has the life preserver on it. That's the sign. The water doesn't enter that house.
Right. Yep.
So sad, though. Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we really had to, this is, what is, sort of the corollary of the Passover, so we really had to treat it with care.
I remember at one point I had suggested that we just have the P's houses have sandbags around the doors.
Oh,
but
yeah.
then we said, let's...
Yeah, I like the symbol, in that supernatural symbol of, whether it's the blood above the door, or, the life preserver is what we ended up putting there, but just that idea that there's nothing physical there to block it. It's supernatural.
Exactly. And it was an act of obedience to put the sign on the door.
Right. Yeah.
So it wasn't the sign that saved them as much as the obedience.
Yeah.
Is that correct biblically?
I think so. But there was also great symbolism in the blood of the Lamb.
Right. Well, of course, because that's pointing us to Jesus.
Right. We're going to have to figure out who's going to do all the work now. Who was that masked man?
Oh, originally here. Oh, so see how when he hops away, when he says, "Who was that masked man?" There's a little wanted poster back there of Mo. That was supposed to be like a. It was like a. As he says, "Who was that masked man?" And then he hops away, and you're like, "Oh, look, there's a wanted poster."
Yeah,
that was a little brilliant idea I had. But yeah, and then it turns out it's really so small you never even notice it.
It's brilliant in a really.
But it's because
kind of way.
The mayor was supposed to be standing there, but then we had to flip the mayor and Lunt's positions.
Oh, I see.
So then when we did that, then the sign had to get smaller.
Okay.
So the effects in this show, there's by far more effects than any other show we've ever done. Because every shot with water is an effect, and then of course you get to the end here, and there's shots of grasshoppers, and there's this cloud and snow, and it just it was a lot of work for the effects artists, but every single one just turned out perfect.
Yeah,
really gorgeous.
Yeah, very, very nice. Here they come!
It's the posse! I just love Archie saying he's got a posse. That
in
line,
his wimpy little voice.
That line makes me laugh every time. Except this time, because I wasn't really listening. So here, when Mo puts his mask back on, that was a very late addition, even once we'd started animation.
Mm-hmm.
Because once I started seeing what Mo looked like without the mask on, he just didn't feel right. And it's like, well, I don't want him to not feel right at the climax of the show.
Right.
So then I realized, well, it could be like a symbol that he's deciding to follow God's plan when he puts the mask back on.
Right.
Because he had to take it off for Wyatt to realize who he was.
Right.
But then we used that spot to say, okay, I'm going to follow God's plan. I'm putting the mask back on. I'm becoming the lone stranger again.
Right.
And I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to follow this plan and do what I've been told to do.
Right.
And then he has the mask for the rest of the show, which works really well. Because he just looks better with it on than with it off.
That's so cool. The pillar of cloud starting to snow is cool.
Terrific effects. And the snow is just great. And the music, it all just... I wanted this to be really kind of magical. Except not magic, that's not the word. I just really wanted it to be... I wanted it to be really beautiful and lyrical.
Lyrical.
And it
very
just
icicle.
It's perfect.
It'd be icicle.
That wasn't Charlie Pincher saying wow, except his mouth was moving. So it looks like it was. Oh well.
Here goes Zippy.
So this was just a really...
Strap on your cross-country skis.
It was a really brilliant idea, I think, to turn the Red Sea into Death Valley. and then have the snow.
Yeah, it made the most sense for a, for a parallel to the Red Sea.
I guess we could have
in the
had
American
them.
West.
We could have had them part the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah, I guess you could have done that, but
we didn't.
But we didn't because it just felt.
Although that would have been
more
probably
western, being further, west.
Well,
and
that would have been
south.
even more expensive, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would have been. See, this was a much. And
Cost
just
effective.
just the whole idea of Death Valley too. I mean, it's just got a nice ring to it, crossing Death Valley.
What do you mean?
I crossed Death Valley before
In a car?
In a car.
Did
yeah.
you check your
Well-
water levels before you went in?
Well, it was when I was my family was moving from California to Colorado, and my mom and my younger brothers flew, but my older brother and my dad and I drove with our Labrador Retriever, and we were in a station wagon without air conditioning, and I was in the back seat with a Labrador Retriever.
Ugh.
And I was just pretty much just feeding her ice cubes the whole way through. So it was.
Did
it
you
was
share?
hot.
Did you share any with her?
Yeah.
Oh, the cloud is receding. Oh.
Oh.
Oh, they're in trouble now.
Yeah, and just this idea too of being caught, hot-footed on the beach, just hopping around and defeated. It was nice too because you didn't have to get, show them getting swallowed up by the Red Sea.
You can't
Or
hear
just-
it, but Lunt says, "Can I get on your shoulders?" That's funny. Yeah, because it's not like they died; they just got stuck in the middle of Death Valley.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
That's much more veggie.
Yeah.
We had a lot of struggles on the show with death and how we present it, and because it's a Bible story, and the Bible has a lot of death in it.
Right, right.
So in general, like with the babies going up the river, it has the effect of death. Certainly, emotionally, we didn't want to minimize that.
Right.
So I feel like we still have the emotional resonance that we need for those parts.
Right.
But without it being really upsetting.
Right. Yeah. Oh, look at it go. Dusty peas.
They were supposed to have a baby originally, which was what the point of that shot was. It was showing, look, here's a family that has been
Right.
saved.
Right,
But
right.
then we didn't have the money for a baby, so now that shot just doesn't make as much sense.
Isn't that how it works out?
Yeah.
We just didn't have the money for a baby.
Yeah. But it's still it's a cute shot with them smiling at each other.
Yeah.
But the idea was, look, it's a family. They've saved this
Oh, I like the
family.
boys popping in at the end. That's nice.
I like that too. Oh, I love that song. Wow. I can't believe the show's finished.
It just flies right by.
It does.
I'm going to have
We've
to get
been-
me a hat and a scarf.
We've been
too.
working
That's
on this
really
for
nice.
over a year now.
Yeah, it's been in production or
No, on
starting
just
in pre-production?
story and development
Yeah.
and all that. It's
Yeah,
been-
yeah, it's been quite a long time. It's really cool to see it all coming together. And we get to hear the Western "What Have We Learned" song.
Yeah, Kurt and I wanted to get Babe singing it too to add him to the mix,
Uh-huh.
but we only had 2 days with him, and the music day went long.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much to sing.
Yeah.
So we never got the chance to add him in, sadly.
Yeah.
Again, we just didn't have the money. Well, we had the money, but not the time.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have cost anything, but
yeah,
time is money, and money is time, and you run out of both.
But the original one is really nice too. So
that's me in there.
That's
Yeah,
you-
I
you
mean,
and
it's
Kurt, right?
It's me, Kurt, and Lisa Vischer. It was very interesting and exciting directing the show for me, because I worked on the Ballad of Little Joe, but just as a line artist, or just a rank and file artist, and those were interesting times for the company, and we didn't really know where we were going to be. I remember some really specific feelings during that production of, this could be the last one that I work on.
Right, right.
And certainly for a lot of people it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then coming back now, directing a sequel to Little Joe, working with some of the assets from it, reusing parts, reusing characters, trying to make it look like Little Joe and live up to how great Little Joe was. It's been a really great experience for me, and emotional at times even, and very poignant. Finishing, working on the show as a director, and then now seeing it finished. I'm very proud of it. When I read the script, I knew that it was going to be a great show, and when I was asked to direct it after I read the script, I was really thrilled and knew that as long as I could live up to what you had in the script, You know, my job was just to not screw it up.
Well, you did a mighty fine job. No, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and you did a fantastic job. So it's really, really fun.
I hope people enjoy it. It has a more serious tone, I think, than most shows, but it's got a lot of humor and levity.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. Well, with the subject matter, we really need to respect the original story. So
exactly.
Oh, look, there you are.
Hey, and there you are.
You
got Zippy.
Yeah,
Everyone
I
thinks
got
that your title card is the best one.
I like my title card.
I like mine the best.
These are really cool. I love John Trausch again did the title card.
Yes,
art.
he did.
Yeah.
Well, and the scroll and
the
all
scroll and
this.
everything. It looks really, really cool. That old comic
And
book
the
feel.
Dodgeball Cowboy Quartet with 3 people.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks to Babe. He just really made the show sing.
Yeah.
And I think he ranks up there with the classic cartoon narrators.
Oh yeah. He's such a great voice.
Yeah. So
that's kind of what I try to do with my voice, but you can tell when somebody's pretending to be a cowboy and is not a cowboy.
Yeah, that's why I just don't pretend.
He's got some great watercolor strokes back there.
Yeah, Gretchen Stiebolt actually helped with these as well.
Oh, cool.
She did some of these watercolor things.
Now, is that done in Painter or
No, that's
Photoshop?
real. That's real paint.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's faked. Yeah,
It's real paint that got scanned in and then
that's cool.
manipulated.
So they just did a big, like a big poster board of
I
textures.
I don't think it was that big. They did lots of little samples and then kind of stuck them all together.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So thanks to everybody who worked on the show. As usual, Chuck and Joe doing the concept, and actually Tom Bancroft and Rob Corley helped on concept here as well. Todd Carter and I and Rob all worked on the story. And then down to everyone up in Canada who really put a lot of effort into this show. It was a much bigger show than we normally do, and they had to put a lot more heart into it. They always put their heart into it, but this one I think required a pretty big effort. So thanks to everybody for making it look great. Here's our our Western 10 Commandments. It's kind of like this is the next part of the story that we're not telling, except we tell part of it there.
But could later at some point.
Yes, we could.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Larry, it's time for the theme song.
Yeah, Bob. What do I do?
Hey, everybody, this is Brian Roberts, the director of The Wizard of Oz. I'm sorry, wait, it's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
The Wonderful. Don't forget The Wonderful. And this is Phil Vischer, who wrote The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
And hi.
That Brian directed.
Hi, Phil. I'm Chris
Hi,
Wall.
Chris.
I'm the producer of this particular show.
The Wonderful Wizard of
The
Oz.
Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I didn't produce The Wizard of Oz, but I was asked to produce The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Right. Really?
It was really a better show. I mean,
So
to be
I
honest.
think the working title was Wizard of Oz when you started producing it.
Or
yes,
was it The
but we
Wizard of
immediately
Oz?
changed that.
The Wizard of
The-
Oz.
Right.
Yes. I think.
This looks familiar.
Yeah, there's not much to say about the theme song.
It has been updated.
I don't think I've been on a
edit
director's
has been updated.
commentary for like 3 or 4 years.
Well, now that the sentence is, the one.
Yeah, the restraining order has expired. And
When you weren't allowed within 20 feet of a microphone?
I couldn't come within 50 yards
Unless
of
you
the
were
tomato.
speaking as a vegetable. And then you were allowed.
Few comments I may have made on the Jonah commentary that got me banned.
I don't think we're supposed to talk about
from
that.
commentaries. No, and the last show I wrote was The Lord of the Beans, and for some reason, which none of us quite remember because it was so long ago, there was no commentary recorded for that show. And I get emails from fans saying, "Hey, why didn't you do a commentary on Lord of the Beans?" And do you know what I have to tell them? I have to. You don't know, do you?
I don't know. What do you have to tell them, Phil?
I have to tell them, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know why there wasn't a commentary.
I don't remember.
I didn't get the memo.
Didn't get the memo.
But so then I haven't been on one since then. Do you know why that is?
Did you see those new shots?
Because you haven't worked on
New
any.
shots.
I mean, you haven't.
Yeah, the montage. It got updated. It's very
Really?
good.
It got updated? That's fantastic. So even if they don't like The Wizard of Oz, they still got their money's worth because there are new shots in the montage.
Actually, we used that montage on Mo. We just didn't talk about it because it wasn't in the version that we
Well,
were watching when we
look at
commentated.
me, I'm
Okay,
lying.
so-
I'm lying on the commentary. I'm going to be banned again.
So why haven't you done one since?
Because I wrote Lord of the Beans in 2004, and then
Right.
I wrote this one. What's it called?
The Wonderful.
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz in 2005, and then it got hung up for like 2 years. And you know why? It's a little sensitive. We can't really talk about it, but we can kind of talk about it. But when you spoof something that belongs to someone else, sometimes they have an opinion.
A small opinion. And in fact, both pieces had opinions on this.
And when
Lord of the Beans,
when we
yes.
did
Wizard
Lord
of
of the
Oz.
Beans, yes, and because in the old days when VeggieTales was tiny, and we would parody Star Trek or something, nobody cared because nobody noticed. But in the new days, when you make movies and theme parks and all that stuff, and especially then
We're making a theme park?
If you're oh yeah, haven't you heard? It's in Dubai. That's the only place
Buy
you
your
can make a new
tickets
theme
now,
park
folks.
anymore. I'll be there. I'll be in Dubai. But look, Larry's got looks like a loaf of bread with a tongue.
That's the aardvark.
I had, when I was a little kid, I had wooden toys like these, Phil.
Yes.
In fact, my parents.
We all did, Chris.
My parents
I
had
had
this one
plastic toys.
That explains the splinter scars on your hand.
that is a pig that we have that's still among the living. They last for a while as long as you don't leave them out in the rain.
Right,
Or
the elements.
Let the dog chew them up.
Or the dog.
Yeah. So, Larry's dad got that in Shipshewana, which is a real place.
Have you been there?
It's in Indiana. I have not been there, but I've been by there many, many times. If you're on I-80 driving through the north side to the top of Indiana on your way, because I would go to Michigan because that's where my dad's family lives, in Michigan, in rural Michigan. So we always drive back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and you go by Shipshewana, Shipshewana, Shipshewana. And my thought for the first 20 years of my life was, that's a really fun name. But then I found out it's actually an Amish community, and they've got all sorts of craft shows, and people go down there to buy things made from wood, because that's what the Amish use to make things. They use wood. Because it's
Now, do they
it's
sell
tradition.
do they sell craft kits, like put it together yourself? Because
That I
Larry
don't know.
says his dad
Yeah.
spent 6 weeks putting it together.
You know what? I kind of extrapolated there based on my limited knowledge of Shipshewana and craft shows.
Because they're Amish, they can't actually assemble the things.
I extrapolated. Well, they will typically ship them to China for assembly, and then they come back, and then the Amish sell them.
I see.
But
Do they have to go by carriage to
you
China?
can
Horse and
They
buggy.
go by carriage to Los Angeles, and then they get on a boat.
But they have union guys do that part.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah,
actually
right.
put
Okay,
them on
so
the
we're
boat.
on the
here's-
farm here. The farm.
here's
Oh,
the floss
O'Gill's
farm.
Dental Floss Farm.
Yeah, and as I may have revealed previously, I did not come up with the idea for a dental floss farm myself. I
Oh, do
heard
tell.
about it in my childhood when I was probably in late junior high. When a friend of mine played me, he was showing off his new Bang & Olufsen turntable, and he played,
very
which
nice.
is, if you had a
That's
Bang &
nice.
Olufsen turntable in the 70s,
I'd be showing it off.
you would be showing it off in a big way. And he played me a Frank Zappa album, and Frank Zappa had a song about a floss farmer, which I thought was like one of the funniest things I'd ever heard. It was kind of like bumping into Monty Python, It was like, oh, how long have these guys been so funny?
So this is a little ode,
This is an
nod.
homage to Frank Zappa, who I do not believe has been homaged in a Christian Kids video before.
No, I think
Probably
this is the first.
not.
We'll
now,
put that on the
Dweezil.
cover.
Dweezil we homage
oh
all
yeah,
the time.
Dweezil. I think the Bible Man that was one big
Yep.
Dweezil.
And
So-
Moon Unit.
What do you think of their flossing here? That unit was designed and developed by Brian Roberts.
Yeah, that wasn't in my script. There was
No,
no floss testing.
there
in
wasn't,
My script.
so-
in fact, there are lots of things here that weren't in my script, and I'm going to point them all out.
Every single one of them.
Like that
And
tractor.
Will you rank them?
Yeah, that tractor.
Old Bessie was
No,
not in the script.
No, that wasn't in my script either.
But boy, think how great it is to have an explosion in the show.
And how did Pa Grape survive the explosion of a steam engine?
It didn't really explode. It just kind of fell apart.
And was that a
in a
steam-powered
gaseous manner.
tractor?
He's a tough old grape.
Sure, it's a steam-powered tractor.
Steam powered. Sure.
Absolutely. And they don't even make pots for it anymore.
There goes the poster.
Wait a minute, he had the poster.
Yep, the
and
poster.
It blew away.
Designed
It
by
blew
Gretchen
away?
Heineke. I mean, Gretchen Heineke. Oh, goodness.
That's Kurt's daughter.
Kurt's
daughter,
teenage
Gretchen.
She doesn't do
Gretchen
design.
Stiebolt, who's a very talented
that's
designer
different.
here
Those
on
are,
staff.
They have the same first name, but they're not.
You'll
the
see
same.
You can
more
see
of
why
her
I
work
get
later.
confused.
Yeah, it's a wonder
That's the
you
same
weren't.
They look
banned
quite
from
different.
Commentaries.
I've got her
How
watch
did you
it.
get in?
I love this
Ooh, look
shot.
at that. Ooh. See that barn right there? See that barn right there?
Was that in your
Yeah,
script?
I see the barn. Yeah, there
Michael
was a barn
Spooner.
in my script.
Michael Spooner did that barn.
Michael Spooner. He's the historic art director of Jonah.
He is
right.
Part of Jonah.
And
Yes.
Joseph Pulich.
That's right.
Pulich.
Give props where props are due.
Yes,
Yeah, he
I'm
did
trying to
outstanding
give
job.
proper props. But
This
some
is
of my
fun.
props are improper.
Uh-oh. Oh, the rainbow.
So Phil, I don't think you ever finished talking about why it took 3 years to make this show.
Oh, so Lord of the Beans came out and everybody liked it, but the owners of the underlying film rights, who we will not name, said, "Hey, did we give you permission to do that?"
I don't think we're legally allowed to name them.
No, can't name anything or anyone. In
names.
fact, I have to stop talking right now and
Okay,
remain silent
stopping.
for the rest of the film.
That's not true.
Okay, I'm going
just
to
got a
take,
memo.
I'm
You
gonna
can keep
take the
talking.
legal risk here and continue. So that led to some interesting conversations, but also led to a raised awareness of legal liability in using other people's intellectual property in your parodies.
It is the gray area of parody.
It is. Parody is you can do it on Saturday Night Live without a problem because it's just a short little segment in a larger episode, which is what we were told. But when you do your entire show about another story, you're in a very gray area, and it's, and some people say it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. We are no longer in that camp.
No.
We're now in the camp officially of
Permission.
Ask permission.
Right.
And
Rules
so
to live by,
that
kids.
led to like a year and a half of conversation before we could make this.
So speaking of gray area, note the farm is very gray. I think it's beautifully done.
That means
It's
something?
very hard to do a colored CG feature, Brian, would you say?
Without
Gray.
color in it?
Yeah, with
Yeah, I mean, it was tricky because
Don't you
clearly
just walk over to the TV and turn down the chroma?
Well, that's just it. Is we didn't want to do that. Wizard of Oz, when it begins, is in a sepia tone. Now I'm going to talk about that film a little bit here because many people believe that Wizard of Oz was filmed in black and white, and that the color was later added. That is incorrect.
I don't believe that.
The film was shot. The farm sequences were shot on sepia tone film. Then
I
the
believe that.
Oz sequences were filmed in a 3-strip multicolor or Technicolor process, so it was not colored later. We wanted to create that feeling here that everything is kind of black and white and desaturated, but I didn't want to make it sepia tone because that just we're on this farm for like 7 minutes, and I think 7 minutes of black and white.
Right.
There might be some children who could lose interest.
What's that say on the back of his shirt?
On the back of his shirt it says, "I went to the land of Oz and you didn't. Ha ha."
Oh, that's
you can
nice.
still frame it. I think
modern children do not have a tolerance for sepia tone.
No, they don't.
They
That's
don't. Not anymore.
It's scientifically proven.
Yeah, once their iPods went to color screens, it was pretty much all over.
It was all over for
black
sepia.
and white and sepia tone.
Yeah.
You see, Junior has a little bit of his side mouth back.
Side mouth?
Yes.
What do you mean by that,
Well,
Chris
it's
Wall?
where our little friend Junior here sings a little bit out of the side of his mouth, like a kid does when they're kind of being sheepish.
Some kids.
Some kids do. All kids, Brian. Oh, there's one. And so his little mouth.
Originally Archibald
Look
had,
at those
had a
clouds.
side mouth.
I remember that.
In the very, very early days, I designed him with a side mouth because he was British, and I thought that would kind of go with a
It's
Brit-
kinda
a
gone away,
British
hasn't
guy.
it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gone away because of the physical therapy. He can
Love
now
this shot.
Look at that.
keep his
Look,
mouth
so
straight.
pretty.
Oh, that's nice.
That is
Lovely
what we
debris.
call-
We
that's
couldn't
debris.
we couldn't afford to do shots like that in the old days.
No.
Not in the old
When
days.
Archie had his side mouth.
But
What's
you could afford
amazing-
more jokes though, so
We
it
can-
kind of evened
yeah.
out.
We can.
Well, back
we
then
can.
the jokes were free.
We can
Nothing
afford
else
it now.
Now we
was.
have to pay for those.
Now you have to pay for the jokes.
Woo!
What's it going rate for a joke now, Phil? How they paying you?
What day is it?
Oh, hey, there's a tornado back there.
That's pretty. We tried hard not to make the tornado too scary. If
Yeah.
any of the children out there are afraid of the tornado, I
Brian
apologize for that.
apologizes. Now,
I
my
do.
You
script,
can send an
in my
email in
script,
to-
the tornado was not scary at all. So if you're scared of the tornado,
It's purely
don't
direction.
send me an email. My tornado
So
was
my
was made
favorite,
of
Chris, not
cotton
Wall.
candy.
it's not. Yeah, you know what I love about it? That in your script you describe the trailer as tornado bait.
Yes, you do. Darby spies a trailer on a hill. Tornado bait. So we tried to make it feel like.
Okay, that
tornado
telephone
bait.
pole outside the office. Michael Spooner designed that, and Michael Spooner did an immaculate job building that pole.
He got very detailed about how the wire
He
connects
detailed
to the pole.
The insulator he detailed. He broke it. It
I
was
hope
amazing.
you weren't paying him by the hour.
Oh no.
Well, actually. Oh, there she goes.
Mary Poppins. That was not in your script.
Because if you're ever working with a perfectionist, you want to put them on a flat rate.
Flat rate.
Flat rate on the perfectionists.
The Mary Poppins, real quickly. That was the voice of that was Julie Smith, who is also the voice
the actual
of
Mary Poppins.
She was also the voice of the mayor's daughter in Mo and the Big Exit.
Andrews.
It's a friend of mine.
Andrews.
We added that character just because I was trying to gag up the show a little bit, and when Darby says "change in the winds" earlier, for some reason it made me think of Mary Poppins, where whenever in Mary Poppins she has to leave when the winds change. So I thought, well, if that were true everywhere, that could be kind of funny. So every time the winds change, Mary Poppins is flying in. And that's
so it could be kind of funny. Whether it is funny, we'll let you decide.
We'll let you decide.
So, but it's not actually Mary Poppins, though. It's just a nanny who's dressed to look like Mary Poppins.
Because we don't want to get in legal trouble with
But it's a smaller piece of a larger artistic work.
Oh, look at
So,
the big
what's this
purple
big
ball.
purple ball?
Yeah, I thought it would be funny because in the movie she comes in a bubble. That to have it come in, but since there are characters, they don't have much for shape.
If you look at them from the right angle, it just is a bubble.
And so she is a big purple ball.
So this is Munchieland.
It flies around bottom first.
Yeah.
Munchieland is very tasty. Ooh, sparkles.
It's kind of like, when you're re-entering Earth's atmosphere after a trip to the moon. You always re-enter bottom first.
Yeah, see?
Because that's where your heat shield is.
The heat shield, right.
That's her heat shield.
So we have the Munchie Muncher, which we don't really explain very much, but it's dangerous.
What is she holding? Is it a
It's
miniature?
a flower.
It looks
It's a
like
flower.
a miniature version of herself.
No, it's just a flower.
Oh,
It's herself on a stick.
okay.
She's licensed herself.
We didn't want her to have a wand.
No, because that would imply magic.
That implies magic, and we try to be.
We don't go there.
Try to be delicate about how we deal with things like that. The fact she's flying around, I actually thought about turning into a joke, like showing the wires at some point or having her get tangled up in a set piece. It was really budgetary reasons that kept that from happening.
Phil, I love the way this sets up that she believes that he really is this great traveler, and goes all the way to saying he's got a starship and all that.
But where does she get that from?
She's just making it up.
She's really smart.
Winging it.
She thinks
She's winging it.
Hey, we didn't say this.
She's not really connected to reality,
Blueberry,
which is why she's not even on the
Madame
ground.
Blueberry is our good friend Jackie Ritz.
Yes.
Who was the
a really
third
fun
out
job.
of 4 Madame Blueberries in the history of her voice, I think.
Yeah,
come and gone.
Madame Blueberry is the most frequently revoiced character in the history of Western pop culture.
Yeah. So she's now the 3rd and 5th, I think. And they've all done excellent jobs.
This is the first Dana Carvey and Robert De Niro reference in a VeggieTales video.
Yes.
As far as I'm aware.
True. We actually had to
We
do.
didn't write that. You wrote that.
Although I did reference Dana Carvey in the character commentary for Jonah.
Oh,
That's different.
Or maybe
That's
I
not in a
didn't.
show.
I'm
Nobody
not
watches
sure.
the commentaries
So-
anyway.
No, nobody watches.
Tell us
Which is
Except
why
for
we can
you,
say
whoever
anything.
just heard me say that, you're the
the
one
one
person.
We can say anything here, and there will be no consequence.
So
Is that true?
that's not true, Phil.
I don't think that's true.
Is that why I had that restraining order?
Oh, here's
For
if
all
you
those
okay,
years?
everyone. I want you to rewind there and listen to those munchies screaming again as they're running away.
Why?
Go ahead and rewind, and then come back to me.
Okay.
All right, now that
Welcome
you're back, when those munchies scream, you'll hear one little munchie going, "Oh no!" Ah! That is Daniel Bradman.
Yes, it is.
It's Daniel Bradman,
that
and
mean
Daniel
something to
Bradman.
me?
Daniel Bradman is a guy, a little guy who came into our office one day with the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Oh, yes.
Through the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Daniel was able to make a wish, and his wish was to come see Big Idea. He could have wished for anything, trips to Disney World or mountains of peanut butter. He wanted to come see Big Idea, so we got to host him one day here in the office. It was so wonderful. And while he was here, we took him into Kurt's office and recorded him as a munchie, as a French pea.
That is so sweet.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah,
So we're excited to have him in there. He's actually in the credits. You'll see his name in there.
He's a munchie.
He was a great little friend. So thanks, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel. Hope you like the show.
So tell us about
If you
the
don't,
toad.
blame it on the director, please.
Yellow. That's me.
Tell us about the toad. That was actually Mike's idea. I think in my very first draft, and this was back in the outline stage, so this is like in 1973. It was just the Yellow Brick Road. I was just riffing on the Yellow Brick Road, and Mike said, "Oh, let's do something weird with that. How about?" And he came up with it. I don't know if it was on the spot or later. He came Yellow McToad. I thought, okay, well that's pretty weird. Sure.
And so we ended up with
do
this
it.
Scottish frog.
Yes.
Running around in a kilt.
As a guide. A Scottish, isn't that an old Scottish proverb? Let a Scottish frog be your guide. May the road rise to you.
May the frog rise to lead you.
Frog of iniquity.
May the toad blow at your back.
Past the den of your
I think that's Irish.
mother.
Or something.
Okay.
You know, it's funny. We've shown this show to a few people, and they go, "Well, why is Yellow McToad red?" It's like, well, his skin is yellow. His kilt is red.
They can't tell the difference between clothes and skin.
Well, it's just his overwhelming appearance is red. Like it's the main color you see.
Oh, I see.
But he just didn't.
That sounds like a design problem.
We tried a yellow kilt, and that just didn't work.
No, that wouldn't work at all. No one wants a
You see
yellow
those fields
kilt.
back there? Those
oh,
are
those
gorgeous.
are nice. Who painted those?
Joe Spadford.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Joe.
Well, I
Now,
hope
this was initially.
I hope he got a big fat
was a
raise.
different field.
Well, it was originally just in the script, which Mr. Vischer wrote.
It was just corn. Just corn.
And I kind of said, as we were developing it, I said, you know, we've got this fantastic world that Darby lives in, and where they grow floss on a farm, which I thought was really funny, and toilet paper on the neighbor's farm. And then we get to the fantasy world, and they're just growing corn. I'm like, it seems like
get it?
Seems like the fantasy world should be even more fantastic.
Apparently, he didn't get it.
I didn't get it. So I thought the fantasy world should be even more fantastic than the floss. So at one point we had it as toilet paper, but then we decided.
I said no.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Now they're the same.
Yeah.
Now both worlds are supplying bathroom products.
Yeah.
So in keeping with the theme of Munchie Land, we made it some munchies.
Now, one thing that we differ in the book, because the movie says that this was all a dream.
Yes.
In the book, it really
the
happened.
The movie says this was a dream. The book says it really happened. So the question is, what do you believe?
About
No,
our
that's
movie
not
or
the
about their
question.
movie?
About ours.
I don't know. I was trying to be vague.
Yeah, Phil was trying to be vague. I was trying to be a little more deliberate in the way that I approached it. To me, it was important that Darby really did kind of go off and do these things. So that's why we never see him like get bumped on the head and pass out. And, you know, we do have that little blackout when he lands in Munchie Land.
I love
that. That's funny.
It's my belief that pratfalls should happen regularly.
Yeah, almost we need a metronome that just takes
Yes.
like 5 minutes to click back and forth. That would be a really big metronome.
And a click.
A click. 5 minutes later.
You'd be making the pit and the pendulum.
Ready? Here comes
I think.
another one.
Click.
Oh, there's one.
Somebody fall down quick.
So to me, it was important that we could be vague, but not to be I
Okay.
didn't want you to be able to think that it never really happened.
Joke coming up.
Yeah.
Joke coming up that someone's going to have to explain.
I'm not going to
Ready?
explain.
Here it goes.
What joke?
This one.
Either you get it or you don't. If you get it, good for you.
Good for you.
It's a B-52's reference, okay?
Yes, it is.
Oh, let it out the bag there.
My
This
wife
is probably
laughed
one of the
hysterically.
funniest things. When I read the script, I howled. Phil, this routine.
On boil spam.
About spam.
Have you considered a career in telemarketing? Boiled spam, that makes sense.
Oh.
Or oil can.
Oil can. Sure.
Yeah, but when Lunt is in the scene, writing just becomes easier. It's like it's like if you've got Robin Williams that's going to come in to do a character, you're going to get stuff that's better than you could write.
When you're writing a scene, do you ever just go, and then I'll say something funny?
But it was all written out. But
Yes, it was.
It was just that when Lunt walks into the room, even metaphorically, his lines are funnier.
So it's like Robin Williams writing for himself, but he still has to write the script ahead of time.
It's very hard to explain. I have a little Lunt-shaped person inside of me, and when he's allowed to speak, it's
Things
easy.
happen.
It's funny.
Funny happens.
Yeah, and I have a little Bob-shaped person inside of me, and when
So-
he speaks, it's not as funny.
So here's these guys. They're looking.
Go
they're
figure.
looking very Oz-like with the burlap and the silver.
Oh, did you pick up on that?
I like it.
Well, that was another thing. As
I
we
think
were,
it was intentional, right, Brian?
You were trying to say something. I think.
Well, here's a little more history. This show has been put into production 4 different times. Twice at the beginning, Tim Hodge was directing it. And then the next 2 times, I was directing it. One of those times, it was like for 2 days it was in production.
They didn't get very far.
No, we didn't get very far in
that
2 days.
time.
Anyway, so a lot of the concept work goes back to. We'll pick up that conversation later. We want to talk about this.
Hold
silly song
that
now.
thought. How'd this silly song start?
Woohoo!
So funny.
Well, we needed a silly song.
Yeah, that's how they all start.
Yeah.
And as we know, Mr. Mike Naraki had, at the same time we were making this, been working on a feature film.
Right. He was
A little film called The
little film
Pirates Who
called
Don't Do
he
Anything,
was,
a VeggieTales
locked
movie.
up in a booth somewhere, a tiny closet in Toronto.
So I had gotten a CD from Kurt Heineke of Andrew Peterson and Randall Goodgame, who Kurt's played with them for a bit, and they gave a little CD of
Played soccer with them.
Andrew does a Christmas concert every Christmas
Yes,
here in
Andrew
Nashville.
Andrew Peterson is a Christian artist, singer,
bit of a singer,
and it's
so,
really good.
and
Go check
writer.
out his stuff.
So they
I like him a lot.
I think it's
They did this little. They did this little
Google it.
This kid CD that was just
Can I say
really
Google?
fun. So my kids were having a blast enjoying the CD, and I brought it in and said, "Man, these guys are so funny. I think we have something here." And so then we called him.
No, just like
Well, 'cause
that.
Kurt knew him.
You called him?
2 phone calls.
See,
We're there.
that's where I would have failed.
Yeah.
I would have broken
So,
down right there.
We said, "Hey, would you guys be interested in doing these songs?"
We
They
brought
came
him in for lunch, and we told him how smart they are. And, you know, business relationships always go really well when you start by telling people how smart
Yeah.
and clever they
And when you shake hands with them at the end of lunch, and there's like a wad of bills in your hand.
are. We didn't do that.
You didn't do that?
I don't have wads of bills. If I did, I would
Really?
keep them for myself.
Okay.
That's another company. So, so they came in and pitched this on guitar, just sat in the office and said, "Hey, we got this little song." And
I was
think
literally crying.
Brian hurt himself that day.
I literally cried.
so
there were
entertaining.
tears
Because
on my
he
face.
Fell down.
It was so
Just so
funny.
funny.
Does he hit you with his guitar?
Well, there's something.
Oh,
And
tears of joy.
So, anyways.
So the pitch was great, and then we turned it into a song.
And Andrew said, "We said, Andrew, how did you think of this song? It's so funny." He said, "I was at the zoo, and the lady at the zoo said."
A
"If it
kid
doesn't-"
asked, "Well, how do you
can
know if
tell?"
it's a monkey?"
And she said, "If it doesn't have a tail,
"It's not a monkey."
not a monkey."
And Andrew thought,
That's a funny little rhyme.
Huh, that's a funny little rhyme. And if you took that concept too far,
Yeah.
it could get out of hand really quickly.
Like it did here.
Like it did here, because Larry
just
got his hands on that concept and took it too far.
And he would do that.
He meant good by
This
it.
little part where Bob has a tail, it doesn't actually make sense. Like,
Yeah,
where did
who-
the tail come
who
from?
put the tail on him?
I kind of think of it that metaphorically, Larry made a monkey out of Bob. That really, Larry
I think it
kind
comes
of,
from Bob not checking his medications in any cross.
or maybe he played at Pleasure Island.
Hey,
for
so
too
this
long.
forest,
that at
this
Walgreens.
forest seems vaguely familiar.
But it's
Brian
not.
Roberts.
No.
Familiar to what?
The trees,
Lord of the Beans.
The
Oh.
trees we reused from Lord of the Beans. Everything else is new.
Oh my goodness!
Because
do the trees make weird noises?
They're different color.
you know, we talked about using the forest just straight from Lord of the Beans, but I felt
Yeah.
really strongly that we needed a completely different feeling.
Okay.
I wanted a much simpler, cleaner.
Well, trees in our story that go are not going to make any sense whatsoever.
Well, but even just the forest they walk
It
through
is
in
a
Lord of the
nicely cleaned up forest.
Beans. I just wanted it to be clean and simple and lovely. And Mr. Spatterford redesigned the forest, and we made a new one.
Now, you were talking about concept before we went to the break.
Okay, so the characters, a lot of the concept was created when Tim Hodge was directing the show on the first 2 passes. And so I inherited a lot of that work when I took over. One of the things they had done, though, is they had taken Larry, Lunt, and Pa and dressed them up as these characters. So it was Lunt in a scarecrow costume.
Yes, I
it
remember
was a
that.
Green Larry in a Tin Man costume.
I remember not liking it very much.
When I took over, we showed the concept to Phil, and he said, "Okay, I have a problem." And what was your problem, Phil?
I didn't like it.
There it is.
More specifically,
what did I say? I don't
well,
remember.
you said, okay, he can't, Lunt specifically, you said, he can't be just Lunt dressed up as a scarecrow.
Right.
Because then,
because
when
we're going to
he gets-
unstuff him.
When he gets unstuffed, it becomes ghastly and weird.
We're going to unstuff him, and that's going to be hideous.
So we said he needs to be, it's not Lunt dressed up as a scarecrow.
I'm assuming you've
It's-
already watched the show, so I'm not giving away any spoilers when I say we're going to unstuff him.
So it's Lunt as a scarecrow, not Lunt dressed up as a scarecrow. And it
Right.
changed our concept a little bit. We kind of revisited. Pa stayed the same, but Larry and Lunt both changed to become more
well,
who they are.
was Pa wasn't green in the first design?
No, he wasn't. Pa
No.
always had a lion
He was
outfit.
always.
Oh, that's-
So, which is, it's really,
That's kind of weird.
it's
This is one
really
of my-
weird to me. even now looking at Pa as the lion, like
Yeah.
he's fully Pa,
Yeah.
and yet he's fully lion.
Here it comes. Funniest joke.
Yeah.
Ready?
I don't think that's that funny.
Kills me. I love that.
Oh, the director doesn't think that's funny. If you think
Oh
that
my
joke is
gosh.
funny, send an email to
Send an
Brian
email.
Roberts, bigidea.com.
No, that's not it.
Tell him he's full of hooey.
That's
What?
my old address.
what-
I changed
what-
my address because I got too much spam.
Well, don't
Oh,
go give
see?
that out.
That's
Boils
you sent
spam.
him too many
Hey,
emails.
there's our meter. Pratfall.
You can call the
Oh,
front
yeah.
desk, and the lady at the front
The
desk will tell
frog
you.
fell down.
Pratfall, 5 minutes.
That wasn't in the script.
No.
That wasn't in the script.
It
The
wasn't.
script never said the frog falls down.
It's a toad, anyways. So. There's
it
the
wouldn't have
problem.
said
It
that.
looks like a frog. Does it have lumps?
Ooh.
I don't see any
Oh,
lumps.
look at the land of Oz.
Oz.
Michael Spooner painted that.
Beautiful painting.
It's beautiful. I think I designed the location. I designed the layout. Anyway,
Well, I wrote
It's a
this.
field of flowers.
Nobody cares. It's a field of flowers, but it's
a
not
field of
really.
it's deceptive. Sometimes what we're trying to teach kids here is sometimes looks can be deceiving, and you should always look before you
They
step.
can. And this sequence didn't come out quite how you had it in your head, Phil. I know.
It didn't.
Well, I don't think so, did it? Because you were kind of thinking we would be a little more obscure about how we revealed the puppies
Oh,
and things.
Yeah, I was.
Because the idea was that it was really a field of all puppies. And I
Yes.
kind of took it and said, okay, we can't have a field of, hundreds of puppies.
Why not?
Because it just the budget won't allow for that.
Oh, come on.
So I kind of changed it to where it was a field of flowers with some puppy flowers.
Never
in it.
let the budget interfere with art.
Yeah, tell that to Chris.
It's not gonna work out so much.
Can we
All
animate
right.
340 puppies, please?
So this is some really fun choir here.
It is. So we'll talk about the music finally. Even though it's a musical, we haven't talked about it yet.
Where'd the music come from?
Well, of course, Phil, you wrote the songs. You wrote
Oh,
the lyrics and most of the melodies, with Kurt helping out a little on some of the melodies.
Yeah.
But then, so we have the songs, but then we needed them to be produced, and then we needed all the score written. And just like Mr. Naraki was tied up in Toronto on the pirate movie,
Literally tied up.
Kurt
In a closet.
Kurt Heineke has been writing
Handcuffed.
the score for the pirate film during production here on Wizard of Oz. So we needed another guy to come in and help Kurt get the music done for this show, and we got a recommendation from our recording engineer, Fred Paragano, who said, "Hey, Hoodwinked, that movie? The guy who did the music for that lives here in town."
Who knew?
Who knew?
I
And you
didn't
said,
know.
hey, I didn't know that.
And I said, Hoodwinked. I think the music was good in that. So I went and got the movie and watched it. And yeah, the music was
by
really
golly,
good.
it was good.
It was good. It had a lot of original songs that were really well produced. And so we gave Mr. John Mark Painter a call. And it turns out that he was available. So he did this for us. And his lovely wife, Fleming, who is one half of Fleming and John.
A fantastic group.
Which half?
The Fleming half.
Oh, okay.
And then John Mark Painter is the John half.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, you should never assume.
Sure. I mean, because it could be something totally.
Yeah.
So John was able to draft his wife into helping us out with some of the choral work. It's actually sad for me
is he
because
the other half of Fleming and John.
he is. Yeah.
Okay, so they
Just to
are
finish
They
it.
are Fleming and
together.
John.
Together.
The totality of
But they're
Fleming and
married.
John.
So what's sad for me though is
It's the
it's been
ha-ha-ha song.
whenever there's a choir for the last several years, Kurt and I have been the choir.
Yeah.
With the occasional addition of Mike.
That's
or
been
Phil
kind
or-
of sad for me too.
So on this
Can't get a
show,
choir
I'm
here.
kidding. You are the best two-man choir I ever heard.
on this show, I had to step back from that and let John take care of the choir stuff. So it's been kind of sad for me because I love the music.
I love this song. Can I just say? Great
Thank
song,
you.
Phil.
We did change. Originally, the song was just 3 times through the choir singing it. And in the story development process, I think I said, hey, how about if the characters sing parts of this?
Yep, you
And
said that.
I said that, and it works, I think.
It does, but
Yeah.
then I had to
Okay,
stay
that
in
mushroom.
the booth even
Okay.
longer.
Rewind back to that mushroom. That's a
Okay.
joke that never paid off. At the theme park that I grew up at, basically, we always had season passes there. In Virginia, there were these singing barbershop mushrooms that I used to love.
Really?
And when I was designing this park for the show, I said, okay, I want to get a singing barbershop mushroom in there as a tribute to my childhood theme park.
Are we going to get sued for that?
No, we couldn't possibly.
All right. Your famous
So
last
anyway,
words.
that mushroom there was supposed to be singing along But you know, a production is a sequence of compromises.
It is.
And disappointments, and that's
This
one
is
of my
true.
compromises and disappointments is that mushroom never sang.
Never came to life.
Sorry.
So now he just sits there doing nothing.
Is the mushroom a vegetable, by the way?
It's a fungi.
A mushroom is a fungus. I don't think it counts
Which-
as either.
We've had mushroom characters in the show before, back on LarryBoy and the Rumor
Yeah,
Room.
we did.
Yeah, there are some background characters.
Look at another part of the park.
Wow.
That'll
Oh,
be
oh, we just
in
got
the
a glimmer.
sequel.
Oh, I want to
Just
go
a
there. What's
hint.
the big yellow thing?
Hey, talk to us
What's
about
a
the
bouncy
posters
castle?
on the wall in here.
Oh,
They're
those
so
are from
wonderful.
Dollywood. Mr. Paul Conrad and I think some of his other brilliant designers over there on our design staff designed those for Dollywood for a ride we have there.
Get out.
And then when we needed set dressing for a theme park, we said, "Huh, you guys got anything lying around?" They
Wow.
said, "How about these posters?"
Are we going to get sued for that?
I think we are
Phil,
not.
There's no more suits.
Okay.
We never get sued anymore.
I'm a little nervous, a little jumpy.
Little jumpy. Expect a
That's
bunch
all.
of suits come bursting through the door.
Hey Phil, the wizard. I remember in the original script you had that as Jimmy Gord.
It was going to be Jimmy Gord for a while. I thought he could be kind of fun, but Archibald was always an option.
Yeah. So you said Archie was an option. I said I think Archie would be better as this flamboyant kind of prancing wizard, pony prancing wizard guy. And what's funny is when I showed the film to Mike Naraki after it was animated, it wasn't until the wizard takes his mask off here in a minute that Mike went, "Oh, was that Archie?" And I'm like,
Well,
"Yeah, who'd you think it was?" Well, I thought it might have been Scallion 1.
He got into the character so thoroughly that we kind of lost him.
But he always has the monocle.
We lost him. in there. Oh yeah. Have we done flashbacks before
trying
in
to think if we-
VeggieTales? This might be breaking new ground.
We had the
here.
little Joe summary on Mowing the Big Exit, where we reused footage from a different show in the show.
And that worked well.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Maybe a little long.
So hopefully this will work too.
I think so.
So here's a big turn. This is the big story turn. Darby realizes all the pleasures in the world cost something.
And we all realize that at some point.
Just not when we're 5 like Darby.
No, so he's going to be
gonna be ahead of the game when he's a
have
teenager.
Good life. He's going to have a good life. He'll be doing PSAs and public service announcements at his high school about the evils
About the evils of
all sorts of things.
I remember in the development process, Phil, you and I had a conversation where I kind of said, "So I don't really get why is the park a bad place? Because Darby pays his money and gets to ride stuff. So
yeah,
what's the problem?"
And it wasn't to say that a theme park is a bad place. It
Thank
was,
goodness.
Yes, thank goodness, because we all love them so. It was really to say that the pursuit of happiness through pleasure, through fun,
The pursuit of earthly pleasure.
trying to find what you're really looking for, which is peace and joy through pleasure, and this sort of pleasure is bankrupt. It doesn't get you where you want to be.
And you said to me, you said, I think your specific sentence was, "The pursuit of earthly pleasure leads to death."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
That sounds quotable.
That's pretty serious.
Look at this. Wow, what a trash heap.
Yeah.
That's a mess.
This
man.
location has changed so many times.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I originally wrote.
It was originally a dungeon with a staircase. Because originally this guy, Strange Boy / Chester / Bobby Bernard / Gordon.
Gordon, the bully from Bully Trouble.
He originally imprisoned Darby.
He's not Bobby Bernard.
He's Bobby Bernard's cousin.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
we decided.
That's what we
They
decided.
look so close.
I don't remember the meeting.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll check my
I guess
email.
I think that was before the restraining order expired.
Right. So anyway, that kid originally imprisoned Darby, and then that was one of the things through the development process where we went. It just was feeling complicated, and we had this, but there was this great chase sequence that we ended up losing when we changed that.
Lisa,
Yeah.
which is too bad.
Lisa did such
Yeah.
a great job.
Let's talk about
Lee
Lisa.
Jr.
Let's talk about my wife.
Brian got into the booth with this one and just said, "This has got to be the best Junior story. Let's just run with it and have a grand time with memorable lines." And man, this thing is loaded.
Yeah. Some people have been saying that things have been a little Larry heavy lately. So this is Junior's chance to
Yeah.
shine, get some screen time, and hopefully, a little fan mail.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, nobody's reading his blog. You know, he wants to.
I think it's funny that
see if he can
nobody
get
ever
those numbers
questions
back up.
whether or not Tutu's a dog or a pig. And Darby never even introduced Tutu as his dog to anybody, and yet Pa still says, "You got your dog to thank for that."
Yeah, it's. You know why?
Why?
Because I thought it was funny.
It was funny.
That's the explanation
That's the
for
explanation.
about 99% of VeggieTales.
All right, now we're going to do something we've not done in a VeggieTales before. We're going to
Unstuff a character.
Yeah,
For
just,
obvious
we try to
reasons.
avoid it because the seeds just get everywhere.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
And it frightens the children.
Skinny.
That's so funny.
Wow.
Yeah, this is one of those things when you read a script, you kind of go, I don't know how that's going to work.
Oh, where there's a will,
There it
there's a
goes.
way.
And we
Open
made
the
it
door,
work.
Latch is open,
Those
and
brilliant technicians and artists.
whoa! Off he goes.
Where is he?
Oh.
There he is. We had to give him a false nose there because his normal nose was not showing up. So there's actually an extra nose. There's an extra nose caught between the bars there that we made bigger.
Did someone leave that one behind on a prior breakout attempt?
Must have.
There they go.
Yay.
That's kind of fun. Don't try that at home, kids.
Oh.
Never know what's in straw. I learned that. I learned that on the farm. Did you know I grew up on a farm?
No. Tell us about
Yes,
your childhood on the
60
farm.
acres of farm that I grew up on with horses and goats and all that sort of
Wow,
stuff.
that's
And you're
awesome.
not supposed to ever jump into hay because there could be a fork in there, let's say.
Yeah.
Or some other implement.
Or a
that
needle.
Could do bad things for you.
Could be
Or
a needle.
Horse poop.
Yeah.
That's another.
Yeah. That'll mess up your
Not
hay.
so much deadly as inconvenient.
Yeah. And embarrassing.
So I don't know what the minions were doing there hanging out because they didn't really belong at the park. This is where Phil's original script was much cleaner in the whole chase escape thing. It got a little
That's
muddy.
okay. That's okay. When we do the writer's cut of the
Yeah,
film,
the writer's cut.
you'll
Why
be
are
able
there
to
never
see-
writer cuts?
Yeah, because writers aren't allowed to touch the film.
Oh, that's right.
You may not touch the film.
Oh, here he comes.
Bobby Bernard.
Oh.
So we build it up to this great. Oh,
What a
we're
funny
dead
gag.
now.
Oh, no.
Well, you had to do this. You just had to do this. It was too obvious, and I
Yeah.
apologize.
We
Low,
did.
low-hanging fruit, Phil.
Yes, very low-hanging fruit.
We actually cut a lot of this guy's dialogue that it's a long story. Anyway, he had a lot of dialogue both in this scene and the previous scene.
And
that
here's
we
Julie
cut like
Smith
half
again.
of it. My friend Julie Smith doing another great job. Casting for
That's pretty
Gordon's
funny.
mom was pretty easy, or figuring out what her voice should be. Because when I originally came up with the voice for Gordon on Minnesota Cuke, we tried pitch shifting it like we do all our other characters, and when we did, it just sounded like Edith Bunker.
Just like Julie right now.
So when on this show it came time to cast Gordon's mom, I said, "Okay, we just need Edith Bunker. So bring in some actresses and let's hear their Edith Bunker."
And if you pitch shift her voice down, it sounds just like
Just like
Gordon.
I
Gordon.
believe that's
It's
true.
odd.
Right.
That's very.
He's
odd.
made up Julie Smith. That's actually
Or-
Brian.
No, it's not.
She's not a real person.
She's a real person. She's very real.
Or does she turn into Archie Bunker when you pitch shift her down?
No.
Real. No.
As long as she doesn't
Yeah.
turn into
oh,
Meathead.
poor Darby doesn't know how to go home.
Oh, I don't.
Oh.
I can't go home.
It's a tinkly Splenda.
Re-entry.
Oh, here comes the
is
very
great.
bottom.
Very
Very
bottom.
bottom.
That's a technical term.
I think that's a repeatable
Heat
phrase.
shield.
We're gonna get a rating change.
Heat shield.
The heat shield. So this is one of the things that starts to bridge the fantasy world and the real world concept, because this that's about to occur is very real world.
Yeah, and this is the sort of thing that if you spend too much time thinking about it, you'll just go crazy.
Don't do it.
So, you know.
Oh, bye-bye.
One world, two world, I don't know.
The line where she
I
says
don't know.
222.
222, that was funny.
Yeah, I added that. We had to change the pig's name, and when we were coming up from the name that you'd originally called it.
Yes.
And we can't talk about why, or we'll get sued.
Okay, moving on.
So I had to change the name of the pig.
I'm really good at worrying lawyers, just so you know.
We had to change the name of the pig, and I'm trying to think of names. And I was like, well, I want to. If I named him Tutu, then I could have a line where Darby said 222, and Splenda could say 222. So
now, how the trailer lands, you know,
Not important.
That's off screen, but
Yeah.
That's probably. a
I actually
rough-
thought
Well,
about
the
I
old-
thought about adding a sound effect off screen of this big crash and the dad
meteor.
reacts to. Yeah,
the air
but it would have
streams,
ruined the
they-
moment.
They had really good shocks.
Yeah, did they?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't.
You
know
could
that.
drop an airstream.
Now look at
from,
this farm.
This shot right here. Hold on,
farm is
wait.
gorgeous.
This shot.
Yeah.
The first time I saw this shot in animation, it made me cry.
Oh.
Just seeing the dad running towards Darby with that reckless abandon and like the utter joy in the father just being manifested physically in the way that he's running towards his son.
That's the payoff.
And that I tell you, when I read this script, Phil, I read it with my wife, and I got all teary eyed at this part, you know, because I've got my little ones at home, and
Sissy.
that when you get your kids running up to you like that, oh my god, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, the prodigal son is a pretty elemental story.
It is, and that's one of the things we struggled with in development, where we'd placed this Wizard of Oz framework on top of the prodigal son story, but it felt like there were a lot of places where the Wizard of Oz stuff was interfering with the prodigal son stuff.
Yeah.
So we pared a lot of the Wizard of Oz away to try to get to the nugget of the prodigal son and that kind of arc of all that.
Where'd the
That
song
beautiful
come
farm.
from?
That's Andrew and Randy.
Andrew and Randy.
That's right. This is a song from their album, from Slugs and Bells and Lullabies.
What do you know?
This is
And look at Tutu bouncing on the castle. That was a late addition suggested by Tim Hodge.
I see it.
That we were able to throw in there. I love those sheets.
Look at him slow-mo.
Slow-mo's hard in CG. I hope it looks like slow-mo and not just bad animation. You lose perspective
They
sometimes.
were tired. Their jumps were slow.
They were jumping on the moon.
Beautiful farm. Beautiful everything.
Beautiful. Larry loved
So
it.
at one point I wanted to have them like crying and sobbing here when we came back to him, and then I remembered that we did that on
We did
Madame
that.
Blueberry.
Hold me, Bob.
I would if I could, man.
Yes, I love this, Phil. The energy of him. He's so excited. He wants to.
Here's
watch
the
it
joke
again.
that doesn't work.
It works.
It doesn't work. If you don't understand what's happening,
What's he got on his head?
Bob doesn't want to listen to the song, so he pulls out a pair of headphones at the last minute, so that the song will be muffled, so he doesn't have to listen to it, which is why he's happy.
Are they Bose noise canceling?
That's
I
what the
don't
idea
know.
is.
That's the idea, but originally I had him
Brian
sticking
tried to
cotton
do-
balls in his ears, but he doesn't have ears.
And I told him that would not work.
And
it
I
did
tried
not
it
work.
anyway, and it didn't work. So then we changed it to headphones, and it still.
I think it plays.
I hope it plays. If it
Now
does
that
play,
it's been
then
explained.
if it does play, then call me and let me know that you understood the
Yes.
joke.
What's your cell phone number?
Well, you can look up the Big
555
Idea number and ask for
1212.
Brian Roberts, and leave me a voicemail that says you understood.
This Larry's interaction.
I'm
here
not
is
kidding.
precious to me.
If one person gets that joke, it's worth it. What's precious, Chris? I'm sorry.
Just Larry's interaction here.
Yeah, he's
all
so
busted up.
sweet.
Wants his dad to know.
Good old QWERTY. It's a funny little thing. The animators had been using the exact same QWERTY animation for like the last 6 shows. So this time, Chris and I said, could we maybe mix it up a little bit? And it was the hardest shot to get right.
Yeah, it kept coming back. We're like, no.
Like most shots, you maybe do one pass at it. It's good.
Uh-huh.
You move on. That shot, we like took 3 or 4 whacks at it till we got it to where it is now.
I love that verse, Phil.
It's a good one.
We not argued, but we discussed that because I was kind of like, well, that verse isn't exactly what we're saying, but the way you explained it,
yes,
it's the
And
it's
how
the
did I
essence of
explain
what
it?
we're saying. Well, I think you said that it's the essence of what we're saying. It's the subtext of what we're saying, not the
Right.
super
Right.
text or whatever.
Yeah, what he said is what I said, and it made sense at the time.
And
I
prodigal
said it.
actually means extravagant. So the whole having the lavish, the
Whoa.
love the Father has lavished.
I
on
didn't
us.
know that.
It does.
That all. That's one of the meanings of the
Well,
word.
I would have
So
made
it's a
the story different if
it's
I
a
knew
great
that.
verse
And he's got a chameleon.
because it's related to prodigious. Prodigal.
Chameleon
prodigious.
is?
No, prodigious. Prodigal.
Okay.
That was a great show. Here we have a little bonus clip here at the end.
Is that what this is?
It's a bonus clip.
So they didn't have to pay extra for
No
it?
extra
because it's in the
fees
credits. You see.
Awesome.
You don't pay extra for the credits
Doesn't
stuff.
count. It's free. And we didn't have to pay the animators either, right?
Over the rainbow, way up high,
And this is a stroke of genius from Mr. Phil Vischer.
What? It wasn't my idea.
No, I think it was.
The
actually.
performance was.
Oh,
it was.
To have Lunt do
singing
it.
it. Yeah,
Well,
that
here's
was
the
your
thing.
idea.
Yeah.
We kind of felt like, okay, we're doing Wizard of Oz. You know, we're doing doing a fully legal version. We can kind of do whatever we want here. We were feeling like what we really need was Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So how
That's
can
what
we
they
put that
said.
in the show? What
So
can we
they
do with
called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to rewrite Somewhere Over the Rainbow, you know, to make it work for VeggieTales?" And I said, "No, no, I don't want to go down in history as the one who attempted a lame rewrite of Over the Rainbow."
However, you said.
However, if you want to have fun with it, have Mr. Lunt sing it
And that'd be
straight,
hilarious.
like he's Judy Garland.
And then we added some pratfalls because the metronome was swinging over to that side.
Judy Garland as
The,
a male scarecrow.
These blue birds. Brian animated those birds.
Yes, I did.
Wow!
By hand.
Mm-hmm.
The old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned
It was
way.
2D animation.
Oh my goodness! So if I stand next to my TV, they'll be flat. I won't even be able to see them.
Exactly.
Wow.
No point wearing
Oh,
glasses on those.
He's back on the post.
Back on the post. So
there you go.
Is
Thanks,
he
Phil.
happy at the end or is he sad?
He's melancholy.
Hold on, let's see what he says.
Tell my mom I'll be right here.
Oh.
You recorded another line there that we would have used, except that you laughed in the middle of it. You said, "Tell my mom I'll be right here," and then you said, "I'm hungry," but you laughed through the line, so we couldn't use it.
I'm sorry.
Well, great show, everyone.
Great
Thank you so
show.
much.
Thank
Great
you,
host.
Phil, for writing
Okay.
such a meaningful
Yes,
script.
a good one.
Glad I could help. See
Welcome
you
back
in,
to Commentaries.
See you in 3 more years.
I hope not. No, because we got Huck to do next.
Hey, thanks everyone for
See y'all on
listening
Huck.
to our track and watching this great show. Hope you enjoyed it. And see you next time.
Goodbye.
Thank you.